Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words. Today we are playing some Premodern. This is Survival Goblins. Now I've seen this deck pop up a couple of times and I was really curious to put it on the channel and see what it's like. So we're doing the normal Goblin stuff where you've got your Goblin Lackeys that can put in a Siege Gang Commander or whatever. You got your Fanatics, but we're trimming down them a little bit. We've got the Piledrivers, the Warchief, some Ringleaders, a Goblin Goon, which is becoming a lot more stock these days in Goblin lists, and obviously the Incinerators. But then from that point on, we kind of diverge a little bit. So Goblins normally runs Goblin Matron. Instead, we're running Survival, which can do similar things for the same amount of mana. Except, once we've gone and got our Squee, we can just get another creature every turn and just overwhelm our opponent with a bunch of stuff. Whereas, obviously, Goblin Matron just gets you one thing. This is going to get us an extra card every single turn. We've got a few silver bullets like Nantuko Vigilante and Goblin Tinkerer, as well as the Goblin Goon, which we can use to smash our opponents down as like a massive creature. And then we can put Anger in the bin so that we have access to haste on all of our goblins, whether or not we have a Goblin Warchief. The list is also running Birds of Paradise to help power some of this stuff out, and there are 4 Gaea's Cradle, which to me looks like too many, but we'll see how it plays. I just wanted to play the deck as it was. This is the list from Jadi Zuzaft. They've been getting almost all the 5-0s and stuff with this list, so they obviously know better than I do, but we're going to have a little go with it and see how it feels. I've got a few little things I'm going to be looking for while we're playing this deck today. Whether or not the selection of things we can tutor for is correct. Like, do we need more Ringleaders, or is just being able to get a creature every turn off of the Squee Survival enough to kind of replicate that sort of effect? And also, Goblin Sharpshooter being a sideboard card, I think it's kind of worth playing in the main deck a lot of the time, especially when we already have the Prospector in the main. And do we need Naturalize when we've got Nantuko Vigilante and the Tinkerer already? I don't know. That's what we're going to be looking out for today. Sideboard is mostly the sort of things you'd expect. You know, we've got some Crypts. We've got Core of the Claw, which is great to tutor for if we're going to get Wrath. Tranquil Domain, some more Naturalizes, Red Blasts, the Sharpshooter I mentioned, the Pyrokinesis. And then we have a one-of Gilded Drake. This card can be a bit of a banger, and this is one of the reasons to have like your Birds of Paradise and your City of Brass here, because then you can actually cast an off-color spell in this Gilded Drake and steal like a giant, a Chroma, or whatever it is you need to. So that's the list. I've not played this before. I've played a little bit of Goblins here and there, so we'll see how we get on today, and if the Survival is a nice angle that you should maybe be looking at with your Goblins deck, or if it's something a little bit too cute perhaps. Alright, remember to like and subscribe, and let's get stuck in. For free, fast and secure worldwide shipping on high-end singles, classic products and full sets, check out 3-for-1 Trading. Whether it's the legacy or pre-modern that I play on this channel, or even vintage and old school, they've got you covered. Find them through the link in the description of this video and use my code COW3 for free worldwide shipping on your first order over $500 or euros. Okay, I guess this is a good hand to test if Survival is where we want to be. I think we'll keep this one. So we can lead off with a Mogg Fanatic, maybe pick off something little. If this is just Dreadnought, we're just going to get collapsed straight away. The Dreadnought matchup for Goblins is horrible. That's why we're seeing a lot of mono red, because it runs like half its sideboard is just Artifact hate. Right, we didn't get Stifle. That was the first thing. Is this a Dreadnought? Okay, not a Dreadnought, unless it's blue-white Dreadnought, which is possible. So we could be looking at Mana Leak or something over there that we might want to try and avoid. I don't really want to get... So I kind of want to play this City of Brass out so that if we draw another green source, we can play Survival and activate it in the same turn. I am going to play out this Tinkerer, probably into what I'm expecting to be a Mana Leak here. But if we just get some bodies in play, that's something. I don't think this is going to be good enough for our opponent to answer unless they are playing Dreadnought. Okay, so they're probably not playing Dreadnought. There is a blue-white build of Dreadnought that's floating around. This is most likely to be some sort of land still, which is currently the most played deck in the format. Very Conclave, yep. Definitely looking like land still. Let's go to attacks. Let's continue to play out some mediocre-looking things that our opponent has to respect. If they tap out for a Wrath of God, we can just slam the Survival, and our opponent is probably not beating the Survival. Unless they have a disenchant really quick. Because the amount of value that the Survival gets us will be just so much. Maybe they don't have a counter spell and we're playing KG, but it does feel like they're holding up Mana Leak this like every single turn. Next turn we do get to play the Survival around a Mana Leak if they're just holding up these two. If they've got blue-blue, that is counter spell we have to worry about. But at present, there's 4 damage coming into our opponent. That's something they have to respect. Okay, let's send in the clowns. I kind of want to force our opponent into countering stuff. We don't want them to have a fact or fiction turn if we can avoid it. Let's play the Lackey out. That's pretty good under a standstill. This might be enough to force a Wrath, which then allows us to untap and maybe pop off a little bit. Do I want to play this Cradle out and get something going? I just think the Survival is going to get countered right now, and I don't really want that to happen. I could just play out this Incinerator I'll play out this Cradle and just pass. Like we could play out the Squee, but I really don't want the Squee getting hit by a Swords to Plowshares, so we never get it back. Alright, here comes the Fact or Fiction. We want our opponent to take the pile of 2 cards. The accumulated knowledge probably goes in a pile of 3. So we could do something like land, swords, AK, and just leave them with a couple of counter spells. I think that's reasonable. They probably take the 3 card pile here. But putting an accumulated knowledge in the bin is like whatever. Maybe we could have put the accumulated knowledge in the other side. We just want you to tap out and get beaten by survival. Alright, I'm going to clean up. Disenchant. Okay, let's send in the clowns again. Now we can morph up the Nantuko Vigilante for an extra point, but I don't think that's necessary right now. Play something out. They activate the Fairy Conclave. Decree of Justice. Okay. Alright, so now this is going to be our turn to resolve the survival, which is going to be what this whole game has been hinging around. Do I care if they trade for the Lackey? Not really. Am I okay to clean this off the board? Sure. Okay, so this is basically free to play out. So I'll play out this Lackey. I'll play out this Survival now. I will pitch the Squee to the Survival to go and get Anger. And then we can pitch this to go and get something else in a minute. Is it Wrath of God time? Exalted Angel. Okay. Let's discard this Anger. What are we getting here? Siege Gang Commander is a lot of mana. Is it enough mana? So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we don't have enough to cycle this. How do we make 2 creatures? We can just put a Goon into play and slap him in the face with that one. Alright, let's do that. Yes, I will return the Squee. I would have drawn the land, so it would have been fine in the end. Let's get rid of this Squee. If we get a Lackey here. So if we get a Piledriver here, we play the Piledriver out. And then we play out the Goon. We don't have enough, do we? So we need to get a 1-drop here, really. So if we do just go and get the Lackey here. We can play the Lackey. Tap this for a bunch. Play the Goon out. That gives us enough to cycle this to take out the Angel. And if we happen to draw... Oh, this isn't a thing, is it? But it means they trade with the Lackey. Oh, I would have liked that one in play. Okay, so we attack with all creatures here. This will now trade with any 1/1 that it touches. And we get the Piledriver in for free. You have to block here or you're dead, opponent. Is there a way that we could have done this better? Maybe. So just soak up the most damage and block the Goon? Or they try and clear something off the board? Right, they just want to clear the Morph off the board. So they know what it could be. So this is 6, 7, 8, 9. They're just dead, right? Because this is a trigger. That was weird. They needed to block somewhere else. Because this is not life gain. It's... Sorry, not lifelink. It's a triggered ability. So that was just a bad block from our opponent there. They had to block the Goon, right? Okay. Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast are interesting to me. Do I want a Gilded Drake to steal their big Angel? I definitely want the Core of the Claw. The Incinerators probably look a little bit less good. So we can shave a couple of those. Am I doing Naturalize stuff here? Not really. Do I need all of these Pyroblasts? Oh, actually, we might need some Naturalize if they've got some weird, like, anti-red enchantments. But we're pretty good at getting around them. So we've got, like, Core of the Claw and stuff. Maybe we don't need all of these Pyroblasts. Let's shave a couple here. I think 3 is fine. And then what? We're going to trim like a bird's? Something like that. Stay high on the things that actually interact and do stuff instead of just this thing, which is just mana, which just gets swept up in whatever sweepers our opponents bring in. Yeah, this hand is alright. Fairy Conclave. Can we get in a 1-drop here? We cannot. I will go and crack this and get a mountain so we can Red Blast in their turn. If they play a Standstill, no Standstill. Play a Goblin Lackey. And cast a Mana Leak, we probably blast this. And if our Lackey connects and we just get to make Siege Gang, then our opponent's going to be behind to the point where they're going to have to tap out at some point, which allows us to stick the Survival of the Fittest, which should just solo the game out. Are they willing to trade their Fairy Conclave for our Lackey here? Swords to Plowshares. You got it. Let's play a Lackey. Sorry, not Lackey, a Piledriver. You're going to Mana Leak this or prohibit it. Just a regular old counterspell. Hopefully we can double spell next turn. If we draw a land, that's on the cards. No land for our opponent. Okay. And then we just keep sending these. Our opponent keep trading 1 for 1. At some point something will slip through. And then we get to survival. Here is the Impulse. No land, so our opponent's got another spell over there. Draw land. Let's go for a Goblin Piledriver. Absorb. So this is our chance to land a survival. If they've got a disenchant, that sucks a lot for us. But I think it's worth trying to get it in through counter spells, because there's going to be a lot of counter spells, but maybe only 2 or 3 disenchants. Coastal Tower, don't be tapping that. Ah, they had the disenchant. Okay, that is horrible for us. They're also holding up a red blast here. I'm going to send this Goblin Goon into the blue blast. Oh, it didn't get blue blasted. Huh. Okay. If they don't play a creature, this is pretty good. This might force them to activate the Fairy Conclave, because if they have the Fairy Conclave, we can't attack with this, because they have to have fewer creatures than us. I could play this guy out now to guarantee the attack. Because they've got an expensive counter spell, they can't activate the Conclave as well. Although they can activate the Conclave and then use it to cast an Absorb. So now we get in with a 6/6. We're just getting ploughed. That's a decrease. They're just going to chump it. That's fine. Would like to not get Wrathed. But I don't think you commit the soldier token. You just take the 6, right? If you have the Wrath. Alright. Blue Blast on my poor defensive Siege Gang commander. But it's given us enough bodies to make this all work. Let's morph this one face down. Give our opponent something to think about. See if we can get our opponent below 20 life, please. Right, so we're going to take 8 here. That's a big chunk. No Fact or Fiction at end step. Oh dear, opponent. That's kind of what you needed there. Unless you just have a Wrath. Looks like they're passing. Is it worth the 1 point of damage to flip this up? Right, we've got another decree, so we're probably going to lose these 2 goblins. Or do they have to chump block the goon? Right. So I want to hit them for 9 here. I don't think I want to burn that for the 1 point of damage. Because if we hit them to 4 and they kill the goon, this still only hits for 3 anyway, so it wouldn't be lethal. I guess it gives us the out of drawing the Fanatic. We're just trying to cross the finish line here. Alright, our opponent not doing anything. I don't think they can have another decree here, can they? Ploughing the goon. Sure. We trade in my Vigilante for your Conclave? In your deck that wants to have lots of lands in play? Maybe. Yep, we are. Okay. Our opponent's deck doesn't have like mass land destruction, so we're okay to play out our Karplusan Forest there. We are out of action. Our opponent has got 4 cards in hand. And they're all spells, because they're not playing out lands. Can I have a Siege Gang commander, please? If they counter this, they at least don't get to Fact or Fiction. Right. It's a mana leak. We don't have enough mana to pay for it. I think we're just at the stage where our opponent is far enough ahead. I think this game really came down to our opponent having Disenchant in hand. Still 4 spells in their hand over there. Skirk Prospector. You are a creature. Maybe we're supposed to hold on to this in case we draw Survival. But when our opponent's only at 5, I kind of just want to try and get this game won. Prohibit. Yep, sure. And if our opponent is trading a card for this Skirk Prospector, that is a reasonable situation for us. Okay, Mishra's Factory. So they have a win condition. This is also a pretty good blocker. Another Gaia's Cradle. I did say maybe we have too many of these in our list. Birds of Paradise. That one is not being played out. This is just getting pitched for survival later on, hopefully. No Fact or Fiction or draw spell at our opponent's end step there. Oh, sorry, our end step. Warmth. You got it. Squee, Goblin Nabob. I'm not going to play that one out. We've got a couple of Naturalizers in our deck to deal with this Warmth. Pyroblast. Something. I will Pyroblast a Fact or Fiction. You can enjoy your life gain here, opponent. Do you have a Blue Blast? I do indeed. Okay. I don't have any of these in the bin right now. I want them to take the smaller pile. This makes them take the smaller pile every time, I think. Putting the AK in the bin is so annoying. I think it's correct here. Yep, it took the smaller pile. I think our opponent's probably done enough to win this game. We are quite far behind. Wooded Foothills, I'll play it out. And get a land out of our deck. There is the Impulse. How many win conditions do they have left? They've used 1, 2... Let's pop out their graveyard here. They've used how many decrees? 1 decree, 2 decree. So they probably have 1 decree left and some number of Exalted Angels. A Cop Red as well. Do I want to continue playing this game? That is an interesting question, isn't it? No, I think I'm just going to value our time. Maybe we want the Tranquil Domain just so we can answer multiple of these scary things. Problem with Tranquil Domain is that it also hits our survival. Now, maybe we just want another Naturalize, and maybe I'll trim this Gempalm. It does mean we're a little bit colder to the Angel, but I guess we have the one-off Gilded Drake we can tutor for. We're on the play, which is a good place for the old Goblins player to be. We can get the survival in underneath counter magic, but do we get to activate it is the next question. does our opponent just blow it up straight away? We don't really want to pitch any of the creatures we have anyway. There's the plains. Okay, that's actually a draw that makes me feel quite comfortable here. So we go and get our one-off forest. Probably this survival. Our opponent will probably disenchant it on their turn, and then we can play the other survival underneath counter magic. Now we're going to need a creature to pitch or some mana to work with. A dust bowl. Okay, this does cast disenchant. There it is. But we are prepared for this situation. Oh, I like the Lackey here. Let's play the Lackey. That makes our Cradle tap for mana, so we can play the survival as well. Alright, that was a real good turn for us. Can we leverage this Lackey or not? Warmth. Okay. Like, as long as the Lackey holds, we don't have to cast any spells here. And then we can just chill here. I kind of want this Caller of the Claw. Because if they wrath our board this turn, we just drop the Caller in. And then all of a sudden we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 power. Oh, you're going to have a bad time here, opponent. Oh, we're supposed to ping them once as well. That was a mistake. Yeah, we should have one ping. Our opponent should be on 17 here. So, sorry, it's only non-token creatures, isn't it? So we only get 6 power. Ugh, didn't really play that turn as well as we could have. We could have got another 2 damage out. Wooded Foothills isn't the one we want here. Alternatively, we could have cycled the Siege Gang last turn for a Squee. And then got the Squee into the Siege Gang. No, I don't think we had enough green mana for that, did we? If we wanted to do everything. Maybe we did with the Cradle. But no, because we needed the Cradle to get us the Siege Gang. We needed the Siege Gang to come into play off of the Lackey to get us the Cradle mana. No, it's just the 2 damage we missed. I think it was the misplay last turn. Okay, you can have Accumulated Knowledge. A Goblin Warchief. Let's go to attacks. Discard this Goblin Warchief. And get the Squee. Discard the Squee. And get the Vigilante. Crack this for a red source. It's just going to be some sort of counter spell. Try and red blast this. Yes, our opponent gains 2. That is a little bit annoying when we have lethal damage on board. But if we can take out this warmth, we'll be pretty good. So this is now lethal damage anyway because it's resolved. So it's kind of much of a muchness. Just gives us a shot at blowing up this warmth. Got another Wrath? We do have another Wrath. That is awkward for us. Alright, I'll get this Ringleader in. Yes, you gain 2. If they have the Blue Blast here, that'd be annoying. They did not have the Blue Blast. It's Ringleader. And we'll attack in with this. If this connects, then it undoes the warmth gain anyway. I don't know if we have enough goblins to really make use of our Ringleaders. We can pitch this Squee at end step and get an Anger if we want to do that, and then we can work towards the Goon. Okay, I played a land and passing. Let's get rid of this Squee. What do I want here? Is it just the Anger or is it the Piledriver? Oh, it could be the Piledriver here. Let's go and try and put this Piledriver into play. Yep, you can gain 2 life. Counter spell. Sure. Let's get rid of the Squee. Go and get the No, is it the Anger here? No, it's a Lackey. We play Lackey, and then we have more mana. Okay, yeah, let's try this. So we play the Lackey. This gives them more life. But then we can cycle the Ringleader into Anger and then into a Siege Gang. A Mana Leak. Sure. Like, I wonder if we just do nothing if we actually win this game just by nipping in with this and not giving our opponent extra life. Hard to say, I think. Do I want to cycle one of these away right now? I think I kind of do. Alright, so we go and get the Anger here. Squee back. Okay, we have a Lackey as well. Alright, Lackey. Alright, let's just yield to these warmth triggers. Get rid of this Squee. Let's go and get a Piledriver. Let's get rid of this Anger. What do I even want here? Probably Siege Gang. And I'll play this Piledriver out. Yeah, we can get up to 13. I think our opponent's probably done enough here. They've gained so much off this warmth. I don't think the 2 damage we hit them for earlier necessarily mattered, that we failed to hit them for, but maybe that makes us just not attack our opponent, not deploy spells and just attack with what we had. They did obviously clean that up at some point. Decree. They make 3 guys here. So they probably kill the Piledriver and the Lackey and take 2. Which also reduces our ability to get mana out of this Cradle. Doesn't feel like we're getting anywhere, does it? And a Cop Red. Yikes. Let's get rid of this Squee. What are we finding here? We're running out of stuff, to be honest. Okay, we get a Lackey here. Cast a Lackey. That gives us more mana to cast the next thing. We could just give this one up. It does feel like it's gone away from us. But Survival is a pretty messed up Magic the Gathering card. Let's get the Goon in. We've still got more spells over there, opponent. Oh, Mana Leak. We don't get to pay for that one. They're going to pay to prevent the Lackey damage and the Ringleader damage. We're still doing this because if our opponent's got something like an accumulated knowledge or an impulse, we want them to spend their mana so they don't get to use it. We are behind on clock because we're having to make decisions. I think we've made some subpar decisions. I'm not really used to playing this deck at all. I've not played it before. Alright, there's an AK for 2. And a Coastal Tower. They're impulsing now. I'll get back to Squee. Do Squee things. A Pyroblast. That's not unhelpful, is it? Let's go and get a Piledriver. Play the Piledriver. It's got haste, so one of these things connects. Yep, I assume they're going to cop red these two and take 2. Just going to leave up this Pyroblast. Stop our opponent getting a big gas up, even though it means that they're going to end up gaining some more life. Like our deck can just hit 20 damage in one turn sometimes. We could draw one of those Naturalize. We definitely kept them in, didn't we? We got one Naturalize in. Yeah, we got Naturalize and a Nantuko. I think maybe we needed a second Naturalize to the main deck one to still be in the list. Got this Birds of Paradise. What's happening here? I'm going to Dust Bowl my Cradle. That is a little bit awkward. Let me just get Piledriver. Just keep trying to build the damage up. Let's get Piledriver in. Yep, you can continue to gain annoying amounts of life. And play this Cradle out. Attack with everything. Some large friends. So we could have gone and got another Piledriver here. That does force through 2 damage. Maybe that's the correct thing to do here. I'm kind of a little bit checked out of this one because we are so far behind to these permanents. They're taking the 2 off of this? They are. They certainly have the life to work with. Disenchant. Okay. Supposed to cycle this Squee, but I just passed because I've only got a few minutes left on my clock. Let's crack this. Another one of these. Let's play a Siege Gang. Impulse, you got it. We got 1 card in hand, so if we can just stick this board and just keep turning it sideways for a few turns, we probably actually win the game here. We need to dodge a Big Decree or a Wrath. Blue Elemental Blast. I will counter your blue blast with my red blast. Enjoy some more life. So now our Piledrivers are enormous. They have to be cop-redded, but we still get a lot of damages here. Get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damages. Am I going to put in this Squee? Might as well. It's a turning sideways time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They can't stop all of our guys. Just have to use these cop red things, otherwise we're going to run out of time. If they... So how much are they taking here? 3. Okay. Do the same again next turn. We've also got a bunch of damage saved up that we can ping with the Siege Gang. I'll play out land. Every land helps. I think this is lethal this turn. Get in the red zone, Squee. Swords to Plowshares on this guy. That is an annoying one. So they'll probably prevent this. We can now F6 this turn. So we get a little bit of damage in this turn. Was it 2 damage? Actually, it might be 3 damage again because they had to spend 2 mana. Depends how much they put in. Yeah, so they're going to take 2 damage, I think, here. Because last time we took extra ones so they could hold up the activation of the Circle of Protection. So we get 2 damage in. They can hit all of these, right? But we need to keep their mana tapped down. And we can just click attack all and then F6 the turn. And that's fine. If we draw another Siege Gang Commander, that's pretty good here. Do we have any more to draw, actually? Yeah, there's 1 in there. So they now have enough to tap down everything, but that's their entire turn and all of their mana. Right, another land. Gives them slightly more options here. A Mishra's Factory. Now that can start gobbling some of our goblins up. Karplusan Forest. I don't think we attack anymore because of the factory. They have the mana to make that to kill one of our guys. So now they get to leverage a spell in their hand in the end step. So they have like a Fact or Fiction. Right, so Decree of Justice. Are we going to be able to win this one? I don't think so. I think we can just scoop this up. I think our opponent's done enough there. Maybe we could have played differently in a few intervals there. But once both of these are set up, it's so hard for us to come back from that. Maybe we should have kept more Naturalizers in. Birds of Paradise didn't really thrill me very much. Maybe we just need to have Naturalizers in. Maybe the Gilded Drake, we just go around the Exalted Angel. I don't know. Okay, on to round 2. This hand doesn't look very good to me. I think we can do better. Jeez. I guess we keep this. Do we? So we put away a birds. God, this hand is bad, isn't it? Should have kept this one. Wirewood Symbiote. Some elves, eh? Well, we don't have Sharpshooter in the main deck, which I feel is a problem for us. His Birds of Paradise looks pretty bad here. But I think it's still better than the, like, 5-drop only hand. Our opponent is very far ahead. They've got Cradle, so their mana production is out the wazoo already. Karplusan Forest. I guess we play this Birds of Paradise. So next turn we're probably playing Goblin Warchief, and then what? Not a lot else. Mortani's Acolyte. Yep. So they've got this little value engine going, which is irritating. Priest of Titania. That card is also pretty irritating because that makes a lot of mana. Alright, in comes the Wildwood Symbiote. A Piledriver. So we could go... Yeah, okay, this turn is okay. We go 1, 2, 3, play the Warchief. And then we go red for Piledriver. And then are we attacking? Because they're probably just going to block and bounce. I think we still attack here. Like, our hand is a bit soft. Are they going to let this damage go? Because that's their draw engine. I think they're just going to bounce it though. Oh, they let it go. Okay, so they don't have a draw engine. But if they've just got another one or a survival, then I guess get wrecked me. We might be able to break that up with the Incinerator. Another Priest of Titania. You got it. A Masticore. Yikes. I think we're going to be losing... Okay, let's just take out the birds. This allows them to return an elf to untap target creature, which isn't really what I want here. So I think we go Morph, and then we play the Cradle out. And then we hope that our opponent untaps and tries to ping some stuff down. And with this untap on the stack, we can flip up the Morph and kill the Masticore. Otherwise, it just regens. Unfortunately, they were too smart for us, and they just didn't do anything, which is the correct thing to do there. In our green deck, what is this Morph most likely to be? It's Nantuko Vigilante. We're not running Goblin Trumpeter, or whatever it's called. Although that guy is cool. 4 mana. We just ping down the Morph. Alright, you can ping down the first one. And then when you go to ping down the second one, I'll flip it up. So now you have to spend 2 mana to regenerate this. But they don't really have any shortage of mana. That means we're not getting attacked by this at least. How are we supposed to come back from this? I guess if we can do some survival things, but if they put a survival into play, I think they just beat us. Ooh, Phantom Shape is a bit unusual. Okay, they're just going to murderize our board here. I don't want to play this game. I'm going to go into the sideboard here. I just don't think we're beating this Masticore. Okay, I would like some very much Goblin Sharpshooter and Pyrokinesis. Those are the 2 best things we have going on. And then what else do we want from this point onwards? Like, all the removal stuff seems good. I think we want this amount of Naturalizes for survival. I kind of just want to trim these birds. They seem so bad. Like, we're not necessarily having the green mana to cast them. I'm not going to board in these Tormod's Crypts. I'm going to try and answer the survival itself rather than messing with their graveyard. Well, the birds looks okay on this one, so I guess we keep this one. So we go birds. Next turn, we can cast a Piledriver and a survival. And we're kind of getting somewhere. They've mulliganed to 5, which is good news. Add some green mana and get a Birds of Paradise. No 1-drop for our opponent. That is unusual. So we go red and 1 for Piledriver. With Cradle. Play the survival. Okay, now we are coming out guns a-blazing here. Wall of Roots. You got it. Let's Piledriver in. We're going to do something weird here. We're actually going to get rid of our Siege Gang, I think. So we're going to get rid of Siege Gang. We don't actually have a mountain, do we? That's a little bit awkward, isn't it? Where's the Squee? Let's go and get the Squee. Let's cycle off this Squee as well. So maybe... we could just cycle through the anger and go and get a Lackey here. Unfortunately, we don't have a mountain here. Our mana base is not ideal. Get a Lackey. Play the Lackey. Then I guess we pass a turn because they're just going to block with their Wall of Roots. So next turn they're going to have a choice between blocking lots of damage or stopping us from getting whatever goblin we want in our deck into play. Priest of Titania. You got it. Mountain is probably the best draw for us here, as funny as that is. Not a mountain. Okay, red. I guess we tap this as well. Cast a Warchief here. Then we cycle away this. We go and get Sharpshooter. A land. Red off of this. And the mana in our pool. Get this guy down. Alright, they're just scooping it up. Like, Goblin Sharpshooter is just going to be brutal on either side of the board. They might have their own Sharpshooters. Yeah, I'm happy with how we've done that. Let's just go in again. Pyrokinesis is quite the card. I think I'll keep it off the back of the Pyrokinesis, even though that's going to take out a lot of our action from our hand. But we've got some early drops to draw. We actually have stable mana for a change, which is attracting me to this hand. It's not that fast though. Alright, Wooded Symbiote is kind of an annoying one because it usually means they get to save whatever creature we're trying to pyrokinesis with it. Mogg Fanatic would be a nice draw. Just pop this and move on with life. So then they can spread out some other guys and get cleaned up by this pyrokinesis. That's the plan anyway. Skirk Prospector. If you look at it funny, it does a lot of the same things as Mogg Fanatic. It's a 1/1 for 1 that sacrifices. Unfortunately, it's not going to kill this Wooded Symbiote. However, this means that we can Incinerator the Symbiote next turn, and then that leaves us open to pyrokinesis. Now that's going to take up the rest of the action in our hand, so we're going to have to work out what we're doing after that. Just some annoying wall. Okay. We can go around this, possibly through it at some stage, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. You getting in for 1 here? I would trade the Skirk Prospector for this Wooded Symbiote any day of the week, so I don't think they want to get in there. If we don't draw like a Piledriver or something, we're just going to Incinerate this anyway. Tinkerer. Oh, why is a Tinkerer still in our deck? My bad. I'm going to play out this Karplusan Forest that if we get a survival, we actually have the green to use it. Let's cycle this. Shoot the Symbiote. Yeah, this should definitely be out of our deck. Now, they might have Tangle Wires, but their build doesn't look like it. They're running Tangle Wires. And what we're drawing off of the Incinerator, we did draw the Survival. So we have queued ourselves up here quite nicely. And the Tinkerer is a card I'm more than happy to throw away into the Survival. Survival of the Fittest on the opposing side of the board. Wall of Roots is very good at churning through the Survival. Pitching an Elvish Champion makes sense. They've got the Squee, and now they pitch the Squee to go do something else. Oh, they're going to wait till our turn to do it, are they? Goblin Warchief. Forest, and it's our turn to get a Survival going, I think. We could find an answer for this Survival, but at the very least we get to turn his Tinkerer into something useful. Alright, they've got an Anger now. They're going to pitch this Anger and go and get, what, Deranged Hermit or something? Nantuko Vigilante. So they are just trying to answer it. So they've got a land. They can spend their whole turn to do this Survival of the Fittest, which is reasonable for our opponent, but certainly better than them just killing us. Fyndhorn Elves. This makes me think they have a Cradle. Alright, no. Like, this is cost neutral to play anyway because they have haste, but... Okay, a Ranger. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4 here. I'm going to get rid of this Goblin Tinkerer. Just take their board out here before they get to generate the mana that they've based their entire turn on having this amount of mana. You're just going to play it face down. Caller of the Claw. Are you kidding me? Ugh. Disgusting stuff. And then they're coming in for a bunch. We take it, and then maybe we try and come in for a bunch ourselves. I want to pass through the end step. That's really jamming me up there. We don't have the mana to do everything I want. We could go, like, play this, play the Lackey, attack with the Lackey, put in any Goblin of our choice. Yeah, if we'd have just cycled it in a turn like I meant to. I guess we sack this, play the Lackey, go to attacks here. Probably just the Lackey, actually. With this trigger on the stack, I'm going to get rid of this Warchief. What do I get here? I get Siege Gang Commander and just have a bunch of stuff. I could get the Sharpshooter. I think I like the Sharpshooter here. This card is pretty busted. So if they play any 1/1s, we can just machine gun them down. Now if they have their own Sharpshooter, then we'd probably just lose. I think we're just a little bit behind where we need to be here. Them naturally having the Core of the Claw in their hand was pretty gross. Pretty sure they didn't shoot for it. Right, we're doing some survival stuff over there. We kind of need a creature so we can get a Squee. But we can do... I guess blocking with the Warchief turns off the Sharpshooter's haste, which is kind of annoying. Wall of Roots. Honestly, I think you could play multiple Sharpshooters in your deck. Like, when this card is good, it is just the best. Are you attacking here? I think they probably send some guys in. Yep, I don't like this very much. I think we have to take this damages. We did find a creature. The Wall of Roots is really annoying because it means they can block the Lackey without actually worrying too much. Because they're not going to kill anything and start triggering all of our nonsense. Let's cycle this away. I guess we just get the Squee and get that train rolling for next turn, hoping that we get a next turn. Do we get Mogg Fanatic here? It might just be the Mogg Fanatic. Or I could go for the Incinerator. Incinerate their wall so that if they block, it kind of gets messed up for them. But then they know we have an Incinerator in hand. I think it's just the Mogg Fanatic. And now we've got an interesting proposition here. Our opponent does have access to a lot of survival stuff. But if we get to the combat stage, we're okay. I'm kind of worried about them just getting Mastercore. Deranged Hermit, okay. I think we can maybe survive the Deranged Hermit. Because we kill the Hermit, and then we just machine gun down all of their guys for free. Like if that's all they're doing, this has that covered. I don't think they have their own sharpshooter, because they probably would go for it here, although it gets really weird when you have two people with sharpshooters. I'm certainly not well versed enough in how that's supposed to go when both players have a sharpshooter. I just assume it's chaos and horrible. Alright, we're pitching the Squee. What do you got there, opponent? Genesis. What are they going to get back with Genesis? Champion is pretty good against what we're doing. The Vigilante is okay. Oh, they're just hard casting it as a big boy. I understand. Attacking with a bunch of things. Okay, we get to kind of take out our opponent's whole board here, I think, right? So we block here. And we block here. I think how important is haste to us. We probably need to do this to survive. So let's have a look. We ping this down. Then we shoot it. That untaps this. And we take 4 damage. I think those are my blocks. So we ping this down. Then we ping this down. We untap this. This gets another trigger on the stack. So we ping this down. Then untaps again. We ping this down. Untaps again. And then combat damage happens. These will trade. We'll get 2 triggers. So we'll shoot this guy down. Then untaps. Shoot this guy down. Untaps. We shoot him for 1. And untaps. Sharpshooter is busted. Okay, we get the Squee back. That's something. We don't have a lot of life to work with here. And one of our mana sources is the Karplusan Forest. Okay, I think we discard this Squee. What are we getting here? Is it probably just like Ringleader? Just play the Ringleader and chill out with it? Does that leave us? No, maybe we're supposed to get Mogg Fanatic again. Okay, we're going to get Lackey. The Ringleaders have been pretty bad in this build. No, I think we are supposed to get Mogg Fanatic there, actually. Because if they Deranged Hermit... No, the Deranged Hermit is a 1-1, right? So that's not a problem. So we shoot the 1-1, and then we can shoot down all the squirrels. Yeah, no, that's fine. They're discarding the Deranged Hermit for a Mastercore. Well, I don't think we beat Mastercore very easily. Mastercore with the ability to ping down our Sharpshooter. This has got haste. Disgusting. How are we supposed to get this? We need Muxus, but Muxus isn't legal in this format. That's the level of card we need. So these both come in. I don't think we win this one. I think our opponent is just a better survival deck. Alright, on to round number 3. A 1-lander that gets wastelanded. I'm going to mulligan this. Okay, we'll keep this one. Or we put him back. Maybe one of the Incinerators. Or is it the birds? Maybe it's the birds. Just play regular, good old-fashioned goblins. We've got Lackey into Piledriver. Not bad. Alright, we connect with a Lackey. Put in a Warchief. Cast. Not that one. This one. And we got a lot of damage next turn. Sunscape Familiar. So our opponent's probably doing some storm stuff over there. Let's cycle this one. Okay, our opponent's just scooping up to this because they're going to take a lot of damage here. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we get to put something in. They've shown us just enough that we know what they're doing. So this is a Storm combo deck. So I would like access to these cards, please. And possibly some amount of Naturalizers because our opponent might have Sapphire Medallions and stuff like that. The Incinerator, whilst it was useful that matchup, that particular game, isn't actually that useful. Let's replace these for a bunch of Red Blasts. I don't think we want to do Naturalizers at the end of the day, actually. I think we've got enough in here. How would I like to leverage these Red Elemental Blasts? I don't think this is a match where we actually have the time to do that much survivaling. So I'm going to trim a Survival and maybe a Birds because we're not going to need green mana as much. A little bit slower than I would like, but I think it's okay. We can't just mulligan to a 1-drop every game. Maybe we're supposed to. The range of what hand you keep with this one compared to like a regular Goblins deck is a little bit odd because we don't have the 1-drops like we would normally have in regular Goblins where you've got a bigger density of ones that you actually want because Birds of Paradise isn't always doing very much for us. It does bridge us to like the 3-drops of Warchief, but that's about it. Alright, our opponent is maybe not running what I thought they were running. It's always interesting when that happens. Here comes the Piledriver. We saw Coastal Tower, Sunscape Familiar, Scoop. Sunscape Familiar makes me just think of the blue-white Storm deck. Is our opponent just playing the walls deck? Oh my god, they might just be playing some sort of weird defender deck. That'd be very funny and also not great for us. Let's attack. They'll probably just block them both, but they might not when we have mana open. Alright, no fear. Okay. Here is my Piledriver. Pass it over. What are you up to, opponent? Are you really just playing like some sort of walls deck? I don't really want them to have Fact or Fiction. I would rather they spend the time casting the Fact or Fiction though. So if we do something like this... No, maybe something more like this. I don't really want them to take this pile is the problem. But I think they'll take this pile. Although this doesn't really hurt our board that much. Red Revelation does do stuff. If we give them the accumulated knowledge, they can like cast a spell. Like this feels like a pretty good exchange for them. Oh, this is a horrible one to pile. I guess they don't hit our pile drivers with the Hydroblast. They just do hit our other spells. Like, do I want them to have these two cards or these two cards? What about this? I think they take the small pile here. They do take the small pile. Okay. I guess that means we did our job. That was a really difficult Fact or Fiction. We're just chilling over there, opponent. Let's go for a Warchief. Let's go for an attack. I don't really know what's going on over there. Just send the team in. These pile drivers are going to be large. So they could just take a big hit here. They could put a wall of roots under the bus. They're playing like Big Bant where they sit behind walls. Like what's the payoff? What's the end game here? Are we doing decrees? Are we just sitting behind stuff? Okay, so they're ploughing one of my guys. They've got an accumulated knowledge they can fire off. Beast attack. Cool. Alright, can't even be mad at that. So the beast attack probably trades with the pile driver. Oh, okay, they're just going to gobble this up and just take 5. Yeah, that's pretty solid. Alright, our opponent was very much not what I thought they were doing. They conceded at such a time that it confused us. 4 mana, is this a main phase Fact or Fiction? There it is. Elephants, Intuition. Ooh, Intuition's scary. I don't really know what our opponent's doing either. Alright. Oh, this is awful. I don't know what we're doing here. Alright, they didn't want the Intuition. They took the big pile. So they're going to make an elephant here. And that's going to be a little bit scary for us. I kind of wanted them to take the Intuition just so we could see what they get here. Is this just like a quiet spec list? Like Beast Attack kind of fits in that thing. So does the Call of the Herd. So maybe we're like a big Bant spec with like a bunch of walls. Alright, you can attack me. I don't think I am the defensive person here. How do we beat this? Do we beat this? I don't think we do. Alright, I'm just going to say no to this and reconsider what is happening here. If we think they're like a quiet spec deck, I don't think we want access to Naturalizes. The survival is better than I first thought. The Red Blast is still fine, but now we probably want like... Do we want some Incinerators to deal with some of their guys? Maybe we do. Do you want a Tormod's Crypt? We don't want this Tinkerer. I keep forgetting about the Tinkerer. Get out of here. Do you want Tormod's Crypt? Do you want another Incinerator just to get through their walls maybe? Right, we'll try this. We're on the play, so maybe we can just aggro our opponent down. Sure, I'll keep this one. Actually, I think playing this Birds of Paradise is better than playing the Survival of the Fittest. They're quite likely to play a wall quite early doors. We may as well just get Survival up and running and start squeezing out the value. I'm going to plough the bird, sure. Alright, let's just hope they don't disenchant here. This gets in underneath mana leaks and stuff, but does expose us to disenchants. I think I would very much like to be in my opponent's shoes in a matchup like this. Sunscape Familiar. Yep. Let's get rid of this Mogg Fanatic. Let's go and get the Squee. Cycle away the Squee. Go and get a Lackey. Deploy the Lackey. Call of the Herd. That's a big one. A Ringleader. I think we just need to keep survivaling and go to the top. So let's get rid of the Squee. Get the Anger. Turn the Anger into a Piledriver. Play the land and get the Piledriver in. I'm not going to trade my Piledriver off yet. I think we can do a little bit better. I like what our opponent's putting down though. Alright, they're just plowing our guys straight away. Yep, that sucks. Yeah, our opponent's deck looks really cool. Sunscape Familiar, eh? They completely blindsided me by playing this and scooping, so I didn't know what was going on. A very powerful play. So Beast Attack is green, 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 so we don't have to worry about that. We do have to worry about elephants though. We get the Squee back. Red Elemental Blast. Probably not the most useful right now. We need a Gaea's Cradle. Let's bin off this Squee. What do we get here? Is it the Goon? I think we can save the Goon for a little bit. Tough call here. I would probably be just playing the Warchief. Which probably means you want the Piledriver for next turn. Keep these things coming. We're going to take 6 this turn, and then we have to make a big break for smashing our opponent up. I might just go Sword and Shield and leave back an Elephant and just attack with 1. That's pretty solid. But the plan is to get the Goblin Goon going soon. Right, they're both coming in. That is terrifying. That means our opponent has no fear. They have Beast Attack ready to go. A Wooded Foothills. I don't hate that for us. Get rid of the Squee. Can we get the Goon? That's big enough to hold the fort here. Crack this for green. Oh, sorry, not for green. We can't. It's only going to be for red, can't it? 1, 2, 3. Goon backed up by the red elemental blast. And then we can play this Piledriver. They definitely have Beast Attack. There's no way they don't have Beast Attack. If they cast a Beast Attack, then I can't attack with a Goon. Okay. Problem is, if they play the Beast Attack, we're then going to be in chump block mode. But if they play the Beast Attack, this doesn't get to attack anyway. So I think it just has to attack. Just suck it up. Because if they have the Beast Attack, then we don't get to block anyway. We may as well get our attack while it's good. Here comes the Beast Attack. I guess it's quite intensive on the green mana. And all the fetches are white base. Yeah, because this wouldn't be able to attack in this situation. So we're going to have to throw some guys under the bus here, I think. This guy can go under the bus. And then we're in the Siege Gang Commander phase of the game. Sunscape Familiar. That means they can cast this Beast Attack for just 3 mana. That's really sick. I like what you're putting down, opponent. Let's get rid of this Squee. Let's go and get Siege Gang Commander. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold up the Red Blast. Got a bunch of things here. How much chump blocking do we need to do is the question. If we swing out, we're probably dead on the crackback. If we swing out with just these guys, we have 3 blockers for their 4 creatures. So that doesn't work out very well, does it? It's not some maths that I appreciate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 creatures. Okay, I think we're holding back. Doesn't feel good. So I'm going to take 1 to go and get this Beast Attack down. Yeah, but we can make a Siege Gang Commander every turn. And then at some point, maybe we win the game. If we draw another land, then one of the creatures we block with then gets to ping. If they attack here, they do lose a creature to the Goon. Oh, another Beast Attack. So many beasts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, blocks. So we don't get to block with all the things I would like to here. 1, 2, 3. I guess we... Do we want to trade this guy? 1, 2... I guess we have enough mana to do it all here. So at least clean something off the board here. So probably take out the Warchief. Yeah, but we at least got rid of one of their things. But there's another Beast Attack coming the next turn. So many beasts. I think there's only one real play available to us here. It's the get stuck in the Siege Gang Commander phase of the game. We can't... No, we really can't afford to do anything else, can we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we are exposed to a blue spell here because we don't have Red Blast up. I think the 6/6 can attack this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so the Goon has to be on attacks here. If we can chip them in just a little bit lower. They're just going to put Sunscape Familiar under this, I think. So we've got 4 guys coming in. So we probably lose the Piledriver this time. We could trade the Siege Gang. Okay, they're coming in with everything. This might work out for us, actually. So we go over here. Over here, over here, and then this goes here. So we at least clean off one of their guys. So we're functionally trading our Siege Gang for their elephant. Now, if there's removal spells involved, things go sideways very quickly. I think we have one more Siege Gang we can reach for. There might be a line where we just go ham with a bunch of Piledrivers. We know they have a Beast Attack set over there. Okay, we get back the Squee. A mountain. Okay, I like having mountains. Let's survival again. Goodbye, Squee. Hello, Siege Gang Commander again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A mana leak. I will counter that spell. Our opponent can still Beast Attack, unfortunately. Is it time to turtle up now? They've got no cards in hand. They get Beast Attack. They have 5 creatures. We've got 1, 2, 3, So we've got 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think this is a turn to turtle up. Like, we've got the card advantage engine, so if this game just keeps going, we should be okay. Survival of the Fittest is a pretty messed up Magic the Gathering card. Okay, they're going to 8 for this as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. So not quite enough to shoot our opponent to death. 1 away. So they probably have to attack here. So the Goon can block. And it's Chumbox City. We have Anger in the graveyard, so all of our guys already have haste. We've got 1 card in hand. It's a turn that we can try and win the game. Possibly. I think we go pitch the Squee here. So our opponent got another beast attack. We can also just like Incinerator and just start cleaning some house here. Yeah, I don't hate that actually. Cycle this. Alright, they're scooping it up because we've got the engine and they don't have a beast attack, I guess. Oh, good games, opponent. That was tough. Like, they absolutely got us with a juke, with like juking us out. Playing this, making us just think they're playing Blue-White Storm was really smart. Alright, 3 rounds down and we're finally on the board. On to the back half of the league. So, I just recorded the last 2 rounds of this league and we went 2-0 and 2-0. However, I hadn't hit the record button and replays aren't back on Magic Online yet, so I can't show you those games. That is kind of annoying, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and play another couple of rounds into a league and then record them and put them on in the end. But I just want you to know that we did 2-0 the last 2 rounds. We beat a red-green Oath Ponza deck. We didn't actually see Oath, I just assumed it was there. And we also absolutely destroyed a mono-black rack deck. I think that's what the match for was. Alright, sorry about that. Let's go and play a couple more bonus rounds. Alright, we're definitely recording this time. So this is round 4 for all of you lovely people and round 6 for me, I guess. Our opening hand has Squee and Survival. That is a pretty good way to just win a bunch of games. I think I'm willing to see how this goes. A Duress here would be pretty savage, to be honest. Alright, just a mountain into Seal of Fire. You got it. An Anger. Okay, I will deploy this mountain. And then we go and get Forest for this, and then we might be doing double green so we can play the Survival and get it going. We don't have life gain really, but we can just get a bunch of hasty guys and just outclock our opponent, which is what our plan is going to be here. We've got lots of land drops, which is actually pretty handy here, so we can keep developing our mana base whilst deploying threats, because it's going to take mana every turn to turn these cards into things we want. Right, we're getting lightning bolted to the face. I suspect our opponent probably wins this game because we kept like a slow inevitable hand, and our opponent is a deck that isn't interested in that sort of game. So probably just going to crush us. Although our opponent does have excellent choice of basics here. If it wasn't for the fact I only use Onslaught basics, these would probably be the ones I would use. These are gorgeous. But I'm an Onslaught person because of the nostalgia value of when I started playing. Right, they're getting shot by the Grim Lavamancer. That little aside over and done with. Goblin Lackey is fine here. What is our plan here? Just play out the Lackey? I think so. Are we just going to cycle 2 of these cards away into something useful? I think that's probably what we're doing here. They might just Seal of Fire the Lackey, but we can go and get a hasty Lackey and something to put in with it if they tap out here, which might force them to spend removal on our guys instead of our face. And then the burn is not going to necessarily clock us as quick, which gives us time to leverage the power of Survival of the Fittest. Volcanic Hammer. Classic. Look at the art on that as well. Beautiful. Alright, so we're going to go to 11 here. They've got a Grim Lavamancer activation, which probably goes in on our Lackey. I will take this trade here. We just need to pad our life total long enough to get this Survival of the Fittest up and running. Alright, let's activate Survival here. Get rid of Squee. And I suppose, what do we want here? Just a Lackey, I think. And then we'll get rid of this Anger as well. It will cost us a life, but I think it'll be worth it in the end. Let's go and get a Mogg Fanatic, which can deal with the Lavamancer. Not the most exciting pickup here, but I think it's still the right one. This City of Brass, not my best friend. Honestly happy to see a mountain here. We didn't see a mountain. So we can go Mogg Fanatic, ping this guy down. This means we can play the Lackey and they have to spend like the Seal of Fire on killing it. So then we have to go red mana, gets us a Lackey. These pain lands might end up costing us though. Piledriver in, and then we can attack, put in the Ringleader. Right, Seal of Fire to the face. Have you got a Fire Blast? Feels like they got a Fire Blast here. Yep, that'll do. Yeah, we kept a slow hand where our opponent's burn could just go to our face instead of our creatures. This hand would have absolutely smashed a bunch of decks though. If our opponent's playing any sort of black discard deck and they don't immediately duress the survival, it's just game over. So what works here for us? I like the Sharpshooter. I like the Pyrokinesis. It's pretty good at taking out the annoying little Grim Lavamancers. Do we think our opponent is on the build with Ball Lightnings or the more common build these days, which has the Pyrostatic Pillars? It's probably going to be Pillars, I would imagine. What do I not like here? Goblin Tinkerer. I don't think we need that one. I like the Incinerators for the same reason I want to get these cards in the deck. How much do I like Naturalizes? I think 3 Naturalize effects is enough, especially when one of them is tutorable. Skirk Prospector. That can maybe jump us up a little bit. Don't want a Birds of Paradise over this Pyrokinesis. No, okay, we'll do it this and we just trim the birds. I think this is fine. I'm not going to bring in Tormod's Crypt to try and hit the Lavamancer. I'd rather just shoot it with a Sharpshooter or a Pyrokinesis or the Incinerator or Mogg Fanatics. This is definitely a matchup where having fewer Mogg Fanatics sucks for us. Okay, this hand is pretty good. Goblin Lackey. This almost certainly musters a burn spell from our opponent, because if we just put a Siege Gang into play on turn 2, they probably don't end up winning that game. A Jackal Pup. Are you going to trade your pup for my Siege Gang? Probably. I think I would in that situation. But I would also, happily trade stuff here just to keep their board clean. Alright, so this is Survival. Yes, City of Brass, you can hurt me a little bit. We don't have a lot of green mana, so using this Survival is going to be a little bit tricky. What you got here? 2 mana, Flame Jet. 3 damage to target player or planeswalker. And it can cycle for 2. Sure, so they've got a lot of 2 mana, 3 damage. They're a lot more burn spell heavy than creature heavy. Okay, I will deploy this Goblin Piledriver. And then pass. We can turn a Siege Gang into a different Goblin next turn if we want to. What would we like to turn it into? If we turn it into a Warchief, then next turn, if we draw a land, we can go Warchief. I guess we can't go Warchief and something, can we? Alright, they're using burn on our creatures now. That's a good sign for us. A land, we just play the Ringleader, I think. We did find a land. This is probably going to be a forest. Every turn our opponent spends a burn spell on our creatures, especially since they are burn spell heavy and they don't have as much recursive damage. Just a Lackey. But we might be able to give that haste next turn. So we can cycle into Squee and then into Anger and put a hasty Lackey in. Okay, Grim Lavamancers as well. Okay, we have a better line now. So we're going to cycle this Siege Gang into an Anger. And then we're going to cycle the Anger into a Sharpshooter. I love Sharpshooter. What a card. Let's cycle this away. Go and get the Sharpshooter. Deploy the Sharpshooter and take out our opponent's board. Let's go to Lavamancer. Untap my Sharpshooter. Ping down the pup. Shoot our opponent for 1. Untap the Sharpshooter. Attack in with the Ringleader. So now we are absolutely cooking here. Our opponent's life total is lower than ours and we have more damage on board. Their creatures are basically unplayable in the face of this Sharpshooter. If they kill any of our other creatures, they take 1 because we get to ping them with the untap on the stack. Now, they do have 5 cards in hand, so there's probably a lot of the old burn spells over there. That is a Seal of Fire. A Gaea's Cradle. I like that a lot for us. Let's put in this Lackey. Let's put in this Cradle. And we'll start cradling. We are going to get rid of a Siege Gang here, but it's going to be worth it. So we go and get the Squee. Then we discard the Squee here. And then what do we want? A Piledriver or a Ringleader? I'll take the Ringleader. Just gas up here. And if we find any Goblin, we can then turn that Goblin into whatever we want if the Lackey connects. I don't think the Lackey is connecting. Okay, we did find a creature. In with some damages. Do you have to get rid of the Lackey? Because it's on board that we can go and turn this into anything. If we have another Siege Gang, we can just stick a Siege Gang into play here. It probably gives us lethal next turn, I'd imagine. Alright, they're scooping it up. We did the thing. Am I happy with how we sideboarded? Yes. Let's just go in again. Goblin Lackey. We are relying on this to survive in order for this Cradle to work. But we're on the draw, so we've got 2 draw steps to find a land. This hand is pretty good. I will keep it, but there is a risk to keeping a hand like this if our Wooded Foothills gets... Sorry, if our Lackey gets killed. Let's go and get ourselves a basic mountain. Deploy the Lackey. I suspect this is worth a removal spell to our opponent. You getting bolted at end step, or are you going to bolt the Lackey? They're bolting my face. That means they might have a lower damage spell that they want to point at this Lackey. It looks like sorcery speed, like a Seal of Fire. Or they want to try and put a Jackal-Pup or something in the way. The Jackal-Pup does sometimes risk getting Goblin Pyromancer out of the way, though. Alright, we're going to make use of our Cradle while we can. And I'm going to deploy another creature just to make sure that we're going to be able to tap the Cradle again next turn. Let's get the Piledriver in right away. Are you going to bolt my Lackey here? Because this way guarantees that they have to spend mana to blow our next creature up as well. Right, just incinerate, but we get a Piledriver, which means our Cradle is still alive. Hopefully next turn our Piledriver sticks around. This is only dealing 1 damage on its own, so it's not actually much of a threat. A Mogg Fanatic. Sure. They're going to incinerate our Piledriver just to take us off of mana. I think that's a really smart move. A land, please. Not a land. Okay. What are we doing here? What is our plan? We play out the Skirk Prospector. Do we immediately turn this into something else? Because we can sack this for mana, and this allows us to activate the Cradle, so we can go one from this and from this. Are you even going to be going after this? The only thing we can really cast here is the Survival, which just doesn't feel that strong right now. It does make all of our subsequent draws better. Maybe they're just not interested in killing the Prospector, and it makes it around the table. Like, if they spend a burn spell on this, we're still at 16 life. The Mogg Fanatic lines up quite well into the Skirk Prospector, and they saw that we missed a land, so there is a possibility here. I think if they try and kill our Skirk Prospector, we might have to just cycle the Incinerator to find a land. Because it does still cycle for 2 mana, even if we're not getting the full value out of it. Okay, so I'm going to tap this. I'm going to sacrifice this to itself. I'm going to cycle this, try and draw into a land. We missed on land, but we are 1 card deeper, so we're getting 1 more draw step here. Curse Scroll, that's some repeatable damage. Flame Jet, that puts us to 12. They've got 1 card in hand, so they're in the zone of Curse Scrolling us every turn. So you've kind of got 6 turns maximum to work this out. Probably less, though. Oh, deck! Why is the mana in our deck so bad? I've already recorded well, I didn't record it, that was the problem, but I already went through like my thoughts on this deck. And because I forgot to press record, I'm going to have to go over it again. But a lot of things I said are coming up in this game as well. Okay, Wooded Foothills. We can't even cast any spells in our hand unless we make this green, and then we get Survival down. That's so bad, though. We really need to have red to cast this to get anything else out of our hand. Alright, I think we've just lost this one. The mana was not cooperative. Play a stinky Survival here. We're not going to have time to do much with this. Although this is the sort of card that allows us to snowball out and maybe kill our opponent before what they have finishes the game. Grim Lavamancer is very strong. But we might be able to get this Goblin Sharpshooter doing its thing. Okay, we're going to 6. Next turn, they can hit us down even more. Okay, so we need to discard what here? Is it Siege Gang? Probably Siege Gang. It's the most expensive thing in our hand. This goes and gets us a Mogg Fanatic, I suppose. Because we can't allow this Grim Lavamancer to untap. Although, do we get the Squee first? No, we get the Mogg Fanatic here. We play the Mogg Fanatic. And then we can cycle this away. What are we getting rid of? Probably the Ringleader. We've got plenty of resources right now. This goes and gets us... Is it time to get Squee? It's probably time to get Lackey rather than Squee. So we've got a 1-drop we can play next turn. So we could shoot down this Lavamancer. I think we have to. But can we also survive without the mana? I think we have to just shoot this down and hope that we draw a mana source next turn. As sad as that is. Because if they have a land in hand, they shoot us for 2, and then they shoot us for 2 again, then we're dead on the next turn to the Curse Scroll, and we've got no outs. Well, I guess we have the out of drawing Naturalize, but then okay, they have a Fire Blast in hand, so we're just stone cold dead. Alright, our deck did not cooperate. I think that matchup looks pretty good, though, because they have to use their burn spells on us, but our deck just fell apart, which I think is a fundamental flaw with the construction of our deck that can happen. I think we don't have enough lands. Alright, we're going to the final round. Well, I guess I could play the whole league if it goes quick enough. We'll see what happens, because I'm in a whole new league here, but we're going to play another game and see what happens. You might get some bonus extra rounds here. You might end up with like an 8-round video instead of a 5-round video. I'm quite enjoying playing this deck, though. Each game I play it, I'm enjoying it a bit more, aside from some of the flaws I'm noticing. Well, this highlights one of the flaws quite dramatically. Let's mulligan. This hand is not really keepable either. Oh, okay. A Lackey and a Dream. Guess we get rid of this and maybe the second Warchief. Just try and get the Lackey going. Maybe we draw a land and the Incinerator can take out our blocker to allow the Lackey connect. I'm not feeling good though. Okay, they've got Hermit Druid. So there's some sort of like HFEB style deck. Oh, well, that was about the best draw we could have. Get out of here, Hermit Druid. But traditionally, combo decks are very solid into non-interactive decks like we're playing. Okay, is it more important to get this Piledriver in? Or there's a Lackey? It probably is the Lackey, isn't it? Still. And then they missed on a land drop last turn. They might be in some trouble here. Because they burned a Spirit Guide to get their Hermit Druid going. Unearth. Well, we're going to shoot this down with our Gempalm Incinerator. Let's cycle this. Try and shoot the Hermit Druid down. Let's attack with this Lackey. It connects. We put in the Warchief. And then we can just get another mountain here and put in a Piledriver. This way we're open next turn to draw something like a Ringleader to just send for loads of damage. Or we could draw a Goblin Goon, and that's huge. It does cut us off of green, but the only green thing we have right now doesn't do anything on the board. Which is, I don't really like the Birds of Paradise. I think well, we'll talk about what I would like in this deck at the end. Okay, they've unearthed their Hermit Druid, so we could just lose next turn anyway. Cool. Well, there is the Ringleader that we played towards. So we'll play this, hopefully find something so scary that they have to block the Lackey. We did not find something scary enough for them to block the Lackey. So I think we just die next turn. I don't know if they have enough to kill us next turn. They might do. Which isn't enough to kill our opponent. It's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12. It's the third time the Hermit Druid comes into play that gets you, I suppose. Alright, they're scooping it up because they don't have enough mana. So they need one more mana to be able to mill their whole deck and then Corrosion Reclamation or whatever it is they're doing. Or reanimate or unearth something. So we managed to just about get there. This is the matchup where I would like to have access to 3 Tormod's Crypts, please. I would also like my Sharpshooter and my Pyrokinesis. I don't think we want any of these Red Blasts. I don't think we want any of these things. I'm not sure we need the Naturalizers here. I think these things are just what we want. The Tinkerer can go as well. And we just can get rid of 1 Birds of Paradise. I've been cutting the Birds of Paradise a lot. Like 10 1-drops is plenty, and we don't really want to be playing green 1-drops very often. Because if we're on like a mountain start, we don't want to, or like a Wooded Foothills, we don't want to fetch a forest most of the time. I don't really know what our opponent can have, because their deck has so many different lines and things. Like, we don't know which build they are. They could just be the new sort of Cephalid breakfast list that's been popping up a lot lately, or they could be like classic HFEB. Some sort of Angry Ghoul list. There's like lots of things you can do with Hermit Druid because it just says tap, mill your whole library, which is obviously a very powerful effect that we've seen absolutely ravage Legacy in the form of oops or spells. This is a lower power format. So, yes, I will play a turn 1 Lackey. Is this game about Lackey? Kind of. Like if we can attack with the Lackey and it connects, we put in the Siege Gang and that's removal for the Hermit Druid for as long as we need. If they just go turn 1 Hermit Druid, turn 2 Send, then we just die. And that's okay. I'm willing to take that. We get to be on the play in a third game if one does happen. Reflecting Pool. That doesn't tap for mana. Not yet, anyway. Yep, this is just going to be a mountain getting us a Lackey. A Yavimaya Coast. They're going to play the Hermit Druid. Wall of Roots. Well, we don't really get through that one very easily, do we? Or do we? No, I don't think we're doing this now. Let's attack and see if our opponent has anything to say about it. We got to make him do it, I think, there. And then we just play out this Goblin Piledriver so we can get some more damage going next turn. This leaves us with Pyrokinesis available. Wish we could pitch this birds, but that's not how this works. You have Maya Coast. Survival of the Fittest. You got it. I guess we probably could have worked out they had Survival of the Fittest in their deck and kept in some Naturalizers, and that was just a bit loose from me. I've not played against that many of these HFEB breakfasty style decks, but I should know better than that, really. Although if our opponent's spending a bunch of time on doing this, I think that kind of works out well for us because we can just put the boot in. So if they play something this turn that we want to kill, we can Pyrokinesis both of these, and then the block on the Lackey will kill the Wall of Roots. And that hurts their mana production, makes them take a bit of damage from these Yavimaya Coasts a bit more, I would imagine. Volrath Shapeshifter. Yep. That is a pretty messed up card. But we have the Pyrokinesis, which can do some surprising work here. Maybe we do want the Pyro... I don't think we do want the Pyroblast here. What is our plan here? We could Pyrokinesis this, attack with these guys, Put in a siege gang and hold up siege gang removal. Yeah. I don't hate this. A blue blast is pretty good against us here, unfortunately. But I think this line is the one that makes it so we're less likely to die. It puts a creature into the graveyard, which they don't necessarily want there. Oh wow, they're just scooping it up. Yeah, so we attack, we put in the siege gang, and then we have 2 siege gang activations by playing the Cradle out. Alright, that was quite a quick one. You know what? We're going to play some more games of this league. So you're kind of getting a league and a half today, maybe. Let's go. We're currently 4-3 over 7 rounds so far, so let's keep it going. I guess we're keeping a bird's hand. Oh, we have lots of draws that are good here. But if they kill our birds, we're kind of left with quite a slow, dirtly hand. I don't think we're supposed to keep this. I'm just so reluctant about the mana in our deck. I am kind of worried about this. Do I keep this because it has stable mana? Has something to do with our mana? Alright, I'm going to try this. I wouldn't fault anyone for mulliganing this one, but I think we need to experiment a little bit with this deck and what hands are keepable. Because the metrics on this deck are very different to regular goblins. Like most of the creatures in our deck are pretty good here. Are we getting Funeral Charmed? Planar Void. Not great for poor little Squee. We can obviously just blow this up whenever we want. And that's fine by me. Let's just pass it over. I don't think I want to be blowing this Planar Void up. What are they pairing it with? Like Gravestorm, perhaps? And then you have like a weird 2-card thing that hoses graveyards, but also... Alright, they really don't want us to have a graveyard. Understood, opponent. Why do they hate graveyards so much? Uncertain. Crack this for red. We'll yield to this Planar Void. I don't think it's going to make any difference here. The only time we don't want to yield to this is if we... Actually, no, it doesn't. I can't even think of a reason why we wouldn't want to yield to this. I guess if we have anger, if we pitch an anger to give us like sharpshooter haste or something, so we can activate it with a trigger on the stack, that works. Alright, let's get a Ringleader in. Draw me 3 cards, just top me up. That'd be nice. Just a Lackey. Not that exciting. But we do get to start cracking in for damage. The hope is for next turn to be able to maybe kill one of their creatures using this Gempalm Incinerator. Probably play Lackey, cycle Incinerator, maybe find another goblin we can do something with. Okay, we're just trading the witch off. Sorry, the wretch off. You got it. Hypnotic Spectre. If we find a survival, I will blow up this Planar Void. What goblins can we get in play here? Can we get enough in to kill this? I don't think we can. We could just deploy the siege gang though and just have a massive siege gang that allows us to answer any of their threats whenever we want. That seems nice to me. Get the big boy in. So, which card we'd like to discard most? Probably Lackey, if I could pick one. I'd rather keep the Incinerator and the Ringleader. But we'll see what happens here. We're going to get duressed first. They're probably not going to bother duressing us if they have one. It's just another Spectre. Phyrexian Arena. That is a bit of a double-edged sword for them. This is not a great combo though, because they get so many cards they don't get to activate their Curse Scroll. I assume you're attacking me with this. I would like to hold on to my Gempalm Incinerator. We lost the Ringleader. Okay, that was the second one I wanted the most. So, Incinerator, cycle this. Shoot this guy. Get out of here. Survival of the Fittest. Okay, that does change things a little bit, doesn't it? Let's attack with the squad. And then I want to play the Lackey here. And then we can hold up a Siege Gang activation if we need to. But the main plan here is probably to hit this Planar Void so we can just start doing the Survival of the Fittest stuff. And snowball this game out of control. We've got plenty of green mana this time around as well. Duress. Okay. Like, if we lose the Naturalize, we can still survive with something good. If we lose the... So, yeah, if we lose the survival, we can still Naturalize one of their things. If we lose the Naturalize, we can still survival. So it's kind of... Okay, they're just taking everything. But are they dead? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... 8, 9, 10, 11. They're not quite dead yet. Curse Scroll, targeting the Siege Gang commander. They have 1 card in hand, so I will activate this, targeting you. That does slow our clock a little bit. We've got plenty of good draws here, though. A Goblin Goon. It's not a bad one, is it? Let's send in the clowns. Put in the big 6/6. So you are dead on board, and if you play a creature, I will incinerate it. So 1 connection with the Goblin Goon will be lethal because the Phyrexian Arena will also take them down. So we're like some sort of off-brand Dead Guy Ale deck with these Caves of Koilos. So it might have Swords to Plowshares. Cabal Therapy. Interesting. I guess I was... Oh, they're just scooping it up because they don't have a way to answer what's in play. Makes sense. They were just trying to get maybe some additional information. Caller of the Claw, I'm interested in you. The Naturalizes to answer a lot of their permanents makes sense too. Tinkerer is okay here, and it is a 1/2. I don't think I want the Skirk Prospector. The Goblin Goon is excellent. The whole survival plan looks really solid here. Do I want Pyrokinesis to answer a hippie? Maybe. Like, this is probably going to be a 2 for 2, which I think is worth having. The Mogg Fanatics aren't really hitting any of their guys here. So we take out the Mogg Fanatics. We leave in the Birds of Paradise because they don't get hit by the inevitable Engineered Plague. Do I need Goblin Tinkerer? Like, these Naturalizers are kind of just more fluid versions of the same thing, right? They can hit multiple different things. I really like a Goblin... a Goblin King is the one that pumps your team. That would be really nice to have access to in the sideboard. Pyrokinesis and Naturalize. This covers a lot of the problem cards our opponent can have. We'd like to find another red source. Caves of Corless. We getting dressed? Or are you dark ritualing out something? Colorless Mana. Cursed Scroll. You got it. So this can get blown up before we care about it. This is very good at taking out a bunch of goblins, but not just yet. I will play out my basic land first, and I'll pass. We found the other red source we wanted. This can go and get us a green mana. So we've got stable green mana underneath the wasteland. That allows us to naturalize if we want to. There's another naturalized target if we want it. This looks like a smother being held up. Survival of the Fittest. Is our opponent going to be able to destroy that? I don't know, is the answer. Let's go for Forest here. We're just going to play this Piledriver out, I think. I would like to at least be able to activate the Survival once when we play it out. Alright, they didn't do anything to our Piledriver, so no Smother, no Source of Plowshares. What are you up to? If they were just mono black, then I would have played out the Survival then, but I don't know what the white is for in our opponent's deck. I have to assume it's like the usual suspects like Vindicate, Gerard's Verdict, and Swords to Plowshares. Okay, are they just going to try and spin the Curse Scroll and get lucky? Do I want to just play out this Warchief now and get stuck in? Yeah, I like that. So this is a chunk of 5 damage. They didn't have an Engineered Plagues, they probably would have cast it last turn. Swords to Plowshares on the Warchief. So now they get a really nice block off here. Do I want to kill this factory? Is that worth my time here? Maybe it is. It's not really how I wanted to use that card. But if our opponent doesn't have as many lands, they're going to be further away from using this Cursed Scroll. And now we're just going to get into the Survival of the Fittest portion of the game. So we did see the Plow. That was something I suspected might be in our opponent's deck. Sanctimony. Whenever an opponent taps a mountain for mana, you may gain 1 life. There's so many of these like weird, like red hate cards out there. Sure, you can gain 1 life. I don't care that much. Get in for 1. So we want to be cranking out some Squee value soon. Tainted Fields. They could play a Withered Wretch this turn and leave up 2 mana, and that would really annoy our plans for this survival. Doesn't look like that's what's happening. Right, we will survival. Sorry, Ringleader. We're going to get a better card advantage engine in the form of Squee. This is where they could mess us up with a Disenchanter end step, though. They did not do that. Good news. So we cycle out the Squee for an anger. We cycle out the anger for... it doesn't really work because this whole problem over here. Alright, well, let's cycle out this Squee first. What do we want? Just another Piledriver. Yeah, I can see another Piledriver here. Because if they are both attacking, then they can trade into factories really handily. Just get another Piledriver going. So every turn that goes by, we're slowly going to pull ahead because of survival. For as long as this remains. Because we're drawing an extra card, and the card we draw every turn is a card of our choice. So it's not going to take long for this to overwhelm what our opponent's doing. But they have some haymakers in their deck like Engineered Plague, which is again why we're getting the 1/2 goblins rather than 1/1s. Right, they're going for a 1 in 3 chance to kill our Piledriver. Unless their hand is all just the same card. They revealed a Withered Wretch at random. Is their hand just all Withered Wretches? Now they can just go and take our Squee. Or did our opponent just get lucky there? There's a Withered Wretch. Goodbye Squee, I suppose. Are you not going to let me... Are you going to let me pick that up? Are you going to activate in response? No, they're just letting us have the Squee back. Why are you playing Withered Wretch if you're letting us get Squeeze back? That's very strange to me. Alright, let's cycle this Squee away. What looks good here? Are we just getting more Piledrivers? I could get a Lackey. But Lackey isn't that exciting here, is it? Get a Warchief. We don't have to deploy it this turn. I'm gonna naturalize this curse scroll. Right, so now they're getting rid of the Squee. They let us get one more draw off of it than they should have done though. We can still turn all of our creatures into the better creature. Maybe we should be going down on survival in this matchup. So they got Withered Wretches and Planar Voids. Right, they want to start rumbling in for attacks. That is kind of scary for us. They got another Withered Wretch. And maybe they had loads. So yeah, I think their hand had multiple Withered Wretches in, which is why it wasn't just like a straight up, do they hit it or not? And Anger. I don't really like Anger here. It's something we can chuck away though. I think I am going to just get a mountain here. We're trying to win this by miles, not inches. So hopefully next turn we maybe cycle this Anger into a Gempalm. So when they activate a factory to block with, we just blow it up. Although we might need another guy in play before that works. Is this better than Warmth? I don't think it is. Alright, they're ploughing our Warchief. One card left in our opponent's hand. They're just going to empty our graveyard at end step. Or they just not care. They don't care. They're not expecting us to have Genesis or something like that, I guess. Mishra's Factory getting in the red zone. There's everything coming in. It's a lot of damages. I'm still holding up mana here. Let's discard this Anger now. I think we go and get... Is it Lackey? It probably is Lackey. And then if we draw any creature, we can put in Siege Gang. Okay, we did draw... No, we needed to... No, this doesn't quite work how I wanted it to. We needed the land this turn, didn't we, is what we actually needed. So I'll play out a Lackey. Is that true? Do I turn this into something else? Let's get rid of this Siege Gang. Can get rid of the Anger, be my guest. We're not dead on board. Am I going for a bit of a Hail Mary here? We get the Warchief. It's a lot of hassle trying to tap my mountains when this trigger keeps happening. Yeah, we're getting 5 here. Puts our opponent down to 17. They can crack us back to 1. But hopefully we can do something explosive next turn because we can have hasty Lackeys. So they might just hold back a little bit and just nug in for like 4 here and then hold back both their factories. That seems like a reasonable thing to do. Yep. Our opponent's mana base is probably not very good as well because they're on enemy colours and they've got black spells and a bunch of colourless lands in their mana base as well. What do we have here? Black. The third with a Wretch. So they might have had all 3 in the hand when they did the Curse Scroll, which might have been the deciding turn in this game. Try to attack him with a big Siege Gang. That doesn't really help here. I think casting a Siege Gang probably doesn't hurt either. Yep, you can have your annoying Sanctimonies going. Maybe we should have blown this up ages ago. I don't know how much life it's gained them. I feel like we just need to get enough stuff in play that we win the game that way. I don't really want to attack into these Mishra's Factories though. I think we hold up the survival so we can go and tutor for like whatever we need next turn. Which might be a Goblin Goon, which will be just be the biggest thing on the board. I think the time for Goblin Lackey has come and gone. Activate the factory. It's just going to attack with 1 and then they can make it a 3-3. They can attack with both. Okay, so we can take out a good chunk of their board here. They're coming in with everything. We'll go to blocks. How badly do we need to kill all of our opponent's things? If we kill off the 2 factories, those are the actual scariest things our opponent has. 1, 2 here. And then 1, 2 here. And then we're probably going to turn this into a Ringleader. We're cleaning up almost all of our opponent's threats this turn. And we're left with a Piledriver. Or a 1-1 Goblin, which is more likely, I guess. Yeah, okay. Right, so let's turn this Lackey into a Ringleader. We've already gone through all my Ringleaders. Oh, that's annoying, isn't it? Okay, we just get another Siege Gang then. Sure, you can get some more life. We're going to get some more guys. Attack for 1, put it back to 20. I know that the second we naturalize a Sanctimony, our opponent drops in an Engineer Plague. Alright, here it comes now. Oh, just a Hypnotic Spectre. Okay, we can answer this. Attacking with a Wet Wretch. Can we afford to take 2 here? I think we can. Yeah, I think we take 2 here. Alright, let's naturalize this Sanctimony. Let's shoot this Hypnotic Spectre. Sacrifice a Goblin. Let's go to attacks. Attack with everything. I'll leave this Karplusan Forest in hand in case they want to try and duress us. They might think that's a good use of their mana. Hypnotic Spectre. Sure. We can shoot that down and carry on going. Shoot this down. Survival, get rid of this Birds of Paradise. We got 4 mana potentially this turn. What do I want to do with 4 mana? Playing a Goblin Goon seems pretty good, doesn't it? I don't believe there are any black creatures with haste here. So bash our opponent for 3. Next turn we got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I have lethal on board. Alright, we managed to grind our way through, like I said we would, with the Survival of the Fittest. It was darn close, and I think we were right not to bother with the Sanctimony for a while. Now, we had to use our mana most of the turns anyway. I think there's only one turn where we had the mana open for Naturalize and didn't use it. But the game plan that we played towards worked in the end. So that's what? 2-0 here, and we went 3-2 before. So that's 5-3 so far. Let's go to round 4/7, 8, 9. I can't even remember now. We'll keep playing. Sure, no 1-drop, but we've got decent power here. We've got a stable mana base. I'll take it. Right, this could be Dreadnought, which is traditionally a horrible matchup for Goblins. Let's just play a Piledriver. Our little 1-2, and they're going to make a 12-12, I suspect. I like the choice of Island here. It's not my personal choice of Onslaught Island, but it's pretty nice still. Peak. You got it. I'm getting dazed. Once it's in play, it's very hard for our opponent to shift. If they are mono blue. Like Peak, I have seen some Dreadnought players playing Peak. I've also seen some decks with Cabal Therapies playing Peak. I've also seen decks with Meddling Mage playing Peak. Okay, it is just a Dreadnought. I guess we hope for Naturalize off the top. If they Vision Charm us, we can at least get some damage in. Alright, we can at least get some damage in. Not that it's going to help us out, but this, like, Phyrexian Dreadnought, like the Mono Blue Dreadnought deck, is definitely the best deck in the format. And it has a pretty good Goblins matchup, which is bad news for us. Alright, Goblin Warchief. Here we go. There's 5 damage. Goblin Tinkerer is 2 or 3 mana. It's 2 mana but 1 to activate. So we're not going to be able to Ringleader into Tinkerer and activate next turn. Unless we hit Skirk Prospector and Tinkerer. Now all of this has to resolve as well. I think we're just going to die very quickly. But at least these extra rounds I'm playing, because I failed to record the last couple of rounds of my previous league, at least they're going quickly, right? Oh, we found the Goblin Tinkerer. Huh. Our opponent has a counterspell. Is there any way we can try and bait our opponent to counter one of our spells? If we play this guy for 2 mana, are they gonna... There's no reason for them to counter this Warchief. I think we just play the Tinkerer and hope it works. It's not going to work. They're going to counterspell it. Maybe they don't have a counterspell. They're gushing first. But they got foils, counterspell in their deck. I don't know if they're going to have any other hard counters. They could have thwart, but they don't have enough islands for that now. If we just in with this, that would be a miracle. If they've got Chain of Vapor, then we can just sack a land and bounce the Dreadnought back. Because they could Chain of Vapor this Warchief so it doesn't have haste anymore. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to go Warchief as well here. I'm going to let our opponent's mana burn off, but I want to play this pre-combat so I can attack with it. We're going to wait till the beginning of combat once his mana's gone. An accumulated knowledge. I think this means we are hitting this now when they're less likely to have a Stifle. Because they're drawing a card. You got the Stifle? They do have the Stifle. Okay. So 12, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So we have to block with everything. Okay, we don't get to block with everything, and then we're dead. So this is a good example of why Dreadnought is the best deck. Like, even if you have the tools to beat it, they have a bunch of, like, universal counterspells. It can be very tough. Alright. I want some Naturalizers in, please. I want all these Red Blasts in. I would like to take these Incinerators out. Tinkerer is obviously pretty good here. The Mogg Fanatics aren't killing anything, so I don't really want those in. The Survival can kind of just run through what our opponent's doing quite nicely, given enough time. And sometimes you do get the time against this deck. Are we getting rid of Prospector? I guess. And then we have one more cut. Siege Gang is probably not that exciting, as weird as it is to say that. Although actually, do we lose a Ringleader here? Because how many Goblins do we have left in the deck? We've taken out a lot of Goblins, so maybe we'll take out a Ringleader. We got Lackey. We got Pyroblast. Seems fine. We've got a green source if we find a Naturalize. Not really in love with the anger, but we'll work on it. If we can connect, put in the Warchief, play a 1-mana Piledriver, hold up a Pyroblast, that's going to be pretty good. It does allow our opponent to like daze, which can be a bit scary for us. So maybe we're just not supposed to play anything and play around as much as we can. Hydroblast, you got it. Okay, so now we don't have a choice. We kind of have to play out. I guess if we draw a land, then we can sandbag for another turn. I guess we just have to sit back and hold on this Pyroblast with this ability to play around days, because otherwise our opponent just kind of slaps us around with a Dreadnought. But they don't have to play a quick game. They can play a slow game. But we have to respect the quick game. Another Red Blast. Well, we're probably not getting killed by Dreadnought in the near future. But our opponent doesn't need to play Dreadnought until they can be sure to protect it, which is part of the issue. Okay, they've missed the land drops. They've just got gas in hand. But so do we, to be fair. A Piledriver. Okay, we need to really hit a land next turn, otherwise we're going to have to start discarding cards. But the fact that the Pyroblasts only work when the Phyrexian Dreadnought is coming into play and we get to hit the blue things that go around it is a problem compared to playing like the mono-red Goblins deck, which has Mogg Salvage and Overload and stuff. Just a bunch of stuff that can hit it once it's in play, which is just way more useful. Right, we found a mountain. I would like another mountain, please. What a ridiculous game this is. And if we were like the mono-red or the classic red-green, we'd also have ports, so we could maybe tax our opponent's mana and give ourselves the ability to drop some pressure into play. Draw a land, please. Would love a land. Ideally not a Gaea's Cradle. So our opponent's having to go to clean up now. They didn't want to cast a Portent. City of Brass. You got it. Let's play a Piledriver. If they've got counter spells, they might just start leveraging them here. I don't think we can Pyroblast this, unfortunately. So we're going to trade 1-for-1 on a bunch of stuff, and then we're going to try and catch back up with like Ringleader and stuff. So we've got a plan. A third land for our opponent. Still not doing anything though. Another land for us. Let's crack this. One of our forests. Let's play a Warchief. Is this good enough to warrant some interaction? No. So we get to put our opponent to 18 here. This is like a gush turn. They've already got so many cards in hand though. They just not have a Dreadnought. And they're just trying to have all the pieces available to do their Dreadnought thing. Because they can just engineer enough cards to protect what they're doing. Sure. I will not sacrifice a land to bounce nothing. You can Portent. So they've managed to leverage the cards they're not going to have to discard. They're keeping the cards with the Portent. Warchief. Let's go for a Piledriver as well. See if we can get them both coming in. Can indeed. Alright, this is the real clock we have going now. Attack. Get 5 damages in. They can't bounce out the Piledriver because it's got pro blue. I don't know if they've got any weird pivot plans. Usually these decks don't have pivot plans anymore. Okay, here's a Phyrexian Dreadnought. I have to interact with this. I would like to Red Blast the Stifle. You are gushing. I think I will allow the gush. They kind of have to foil this, but then they can daze the Pyroblast potentially. Counter target spell if it's blue. I'll point this at the Stifle again. We've got Vision Charm. Like if this stack works in our favour, then we're odds on to win. Alright, they have a second foil. So now the game becomes, can we beat our opponent down? The problem is, this Phyrexian Dreadnought can block. So we get this Goblin Ringleader in, hopefully have a nice big look around. I don't think they had another Stifle because they probably would have done that instead. Okay, any order. I'll play out this Piledriver. So 4, 8, 12, 16. So if we attack with everything, they block this one. This deals them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this puts them to 2, but we lose a Piledriver. No, I think we play a land here and we pass. If they attack with the Dreadnought, then we get to attack with everything. So they might just be on blocks and then we can just play this additional threat next turn and have lethal. If they play a second Dreadnought, then I think we're just toast. But I did say this was a bad matchup, so there's only so much you get to do. And have the Dreadnought back on blocks. Okay, it's not back on blocks. That is worrying. They can't Chain of Vapor because we can just sack a land and bounce their Dreadnought. Okay, they did have second Dreadnought. What about second Dreadnought? That is kind of worst case scenario for us. But if we can find any Goblin here, then I think we're alright. Haven't done the maths, we just have to play what we play. So they use the Dreadnought to untap the Dreadnought effectively. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a hasty guy. I haven't done the maths here. I don't think it works in our favour, but we don't have any choice here. 2, 4, 6. So these will be 7 sevens. So it takes 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. No, this is exactly lethal, right? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, we managed to win that game. Oof. That was really difficult. And now we have to try and do it again on the draw. Yikes. Do we want a Gilded Drake? Maybe this is the matchup where we want the Gilded Drake. This is like another answer. Maybe that's better than a Siege Gang. The problem with Gilded Drake is that sometimes our opponent has their thing phased out, so we never get to steal it anyway. But we'll try it. It's in there. Let's see. I think it's better against things like Terravore decks, because you get a little bit more time usually. Birds of Paradise, Survival of the Fittest. This just dies to turn 2 Dreadnought, but we have Lackey. I think we have to index into our own plan a little bit here. We could go turn 1 Birds, and then we can try and get the survival going, so we can go and get goblins that can blow up their thing, or you can get the Drake because we have the blue mana off the birds. Some options here. Do I want to play the Lackey, or is it the birds? I think it's actually the Lackey, and then next turn we play the birds and the Lackey, and then afterwards we can start survivaling, trying to get a Gilded Drake into play. Right, you're peeking. See the survival, we're going to see the big old goon. Right, we're in with our Lackey. Now they've got Hydroblasts, Blue Elemental Blasts in their deck post board, so I'm not expecting this Lackey to make it around the table, but we've got to do what we got to do, really. There is the aforementioned Blue Blast. They're doing it now to play around us having a Pyroblast. Okay, they didn't have a second land. That certainly gives us a window. Let's go red, play the Lackey, green, play the Birds of Paradise. Alright, maybe our opponent gets mana screwed and we get to win this match. That would be nice. Let's attack with the Lackey first. I've already got a Siege Gang that I'm happy to put in. Oh wow, it's just connecting. Alright, this is terrible news for our opponent. I think their hand makes a Dreadnought, they just need to get the land. They're stifling that trigger, that's fine. So we're going to go Survival of the Fittest. Get that into play. We'll discard Siege Gang, I think, here. I do like the Siege Gang and Piledriver combo. We can just get another one we want one, though. We're going to get the Squee, don't we? And then the Squee probably gets us the anger. We're doing this now while they can't stifle that. So next turn we can have Hasty Piledriver, which can also put in a Hasty Goblin Tinkerer. Actually, no, we don't have the mountain, do we? Ugh, I keep doing this and forgetting about the mountain. No, we need to have a mountain in play. Alright, it's Dreadnought time. Are we Vision Charming? We are Vision Charming. That is the annoying one for us, because Gilded Drake is off the table here. But we should be able to assemble what we need to. If we draw a mountain, that's actually our best draw here. By miles, I think. I'll get our Squee back. Come on, basic mountain. It's a basic mountain. Okay, now we are cooking. I will get rid of this Squee to get a Goblin Tinkerer, please. Where are you? There it is. Then I will deploy a Hasty Piledriver. Then I get to attack with the Lackey and the Tinkerer. Oh my god, I discarded the Squee instead of the anger. Ugh, that was... Like, we even had the mana ready to do it as well. Alright, we're getting our Tinkerer here. And then we will... Yeah, you just missed the damage there, that's right. Right, let's get rid of this anger. I'm not going to get the Gilded Drake. I don't want them to know about it yet until the last minute. I think we just get another Piledriver. And then our opponent's upkeep will try and Tinkerer this Dreadnought. They can stifle this, they can Vision Charm their own Dreadnought. Blue and blue. Are we gushing here? We are gushing. So this means they're walking back their lands. They might be in a situation where they won't have the mana to deal with our Gilded Drake that steals the Phyrexian Dreadnought. Survival looking pretty good. More so than I thought it was going to. I didn't necessarily know we'd have the time to leverage it, but it's working out. Alright, we blew up their guy. They've walked all their lands back. They're going to have some Hasty Piledrivers in their face. Alright, they're just scooping it up. Our little misstep of discarding the anger didn't quite do the job for our opponent there. So now, this league, we are 3-1. So that makes us 6-3 going into the 10th round. So let's go to the 10th round, I suppose. The final round. Okay, our opponent is known for playing Dreadnought decks, but they do have other decks in their range. I will keep this hand. I think we lead off on the Birds of Paradise. Oh, Treetop Village. They're on something else over there. They could just be playing like bog standard rock, in which case this survival could be pretty good. Here comes the forest and the birds of paradise. Windswept Heath. Sylvan Libraries. You got it. I think this is a Survival of the Fittest turn. We already have the mountain, so we can go and get anger going when we want to. The birds can go and get us whatever we need here. I don't think this is going to be a Goblin Tinkerer matchup, so this probably becomes the Squee. And we just got a bunch of good stuff in hand as well to deploy. I just want to keep drawing lands at this point. Like, once you have survival, you just want more mana, so you can keep leveraging your survival whilst playing the things you're getting. Lackey helping us cheat on that is also nice. Are we looking at some sort of Terrageddon deck, perhaps? Birds of Paradise is not the worst against that sort of strategy. Just giving us mana that isn't tied to our lands. Winter's Grasp. You got it. Let's go to the Tinkerer. Let's get the Squee. And then we can turn the Squee maybe into a Birds of Paradise. I just want to keep drawing lands. Okay, we drew a Birds of Paradise anyway. Just play out another Birds of Paradise, I suppose. If our opponent wants to blow up our lands, we want to have more mana in play. A Wasteland. Can't hurt us here. Oath of Druids. Alright. Sphere of Resistance as well. I think we just stone cold dead this Oath of Druids unless we draw Naturalize right now. Haven't seen them made it Naturalize at any point, have we? How do we beat their Terravore here? Now, they're just going to have multiple activations, aren't they? I genuinely don't think we can win this game. I think we just play out a Piledriver and suck it up here. Maybe their Terravore just flips over one thing and it's not going to be that big. But with the Sphere of Resistance as well, we're just incredibly cold to what our opponent's doing. Yeah, we'll scoop that up. That's an 18 power guy. Alright, let's get a Gilded Drake in the deck, shall we? Where are you, Gilded Drake? There you are. I think the Gilded Drake looks good. The two Naturalizers look good. The Crypts look good. The rest of this looks pretty bad. The Incinerators look bad. Isn't the Tinkerer matchup either. The Mogg Fanatic isn't going to kill anything, but it does sacrifice, so we don't have to worry about Oath. Is that enough? Get rid of these for these. Would I like this Tranquil Domain is the next question. Goblin Goon is okay here. It's pretty chunky. Get rid of Prospector is mana against their mana denial. This does hit a lot of things there. Alright, I'm going to try this Tranquil Domain. I think this matchup looks pretty awkward for us. Now, we did already beat a bad matchup today, so maybe we can turn it around again. Get this Gilded Drake going. But playing Birds of Paradise into an Oath deck seems so bad. Are we supposed to cut the birds? I don't think so, because they're not always going to have the Oath. Okay, we're going to need to find Birds of Paradise off of this so that we can then get the Gilded Drake going. But our Karplusan Forest is quite likely to just die. I don't think we can just play out the Piledriver. I think we're just going to be just stone cold dead to our opponent's Oath if they find it. Just get Survival in and pass. Enlightened Tutor. Seal of Cleansing. You got it. Can blow up my survival. We've got another one. Would like to find a basic forest this turn. That'll be among our better draws. Although all of our lands are vulnerable to our opponent, really. What if we just Goblin Warchief you, though? What if we did that? I don't want to play this Tormod's Crypt until we can actually surprise our opponent's Terravore. Like, let's say they play out a little Terravore, or a Terravore that's only fueled by their side of the battlefield, then we can Tormod's Crypt and just kill it. Thermocast. There goes one of our lands, so that plan is no longer a go. But we got the cost reducer in, which is something I think we needed to do. Naturalize. You're a nice card, but just not right now. Let's get stuck in. This is a lot of damage. Oath of Druids. Yep, we need a green source to nail this right away. Richardam Port. That doesn't impact what we're trying to do right now. Draw a green source. Come on, deck. A Ringleader is not a green source here, is it? I'm going to play a Crypt here. And pass. We play it now in case they play a bunch of sphere effects on their turn. Like if they play like sphere and they port us down and things, I don't know, or a couple of spheres, it becomes really awkward doing this. It's only a 6/6, so it can be a 1/1 when we attack. I can hold back this Windswept Heath if they wish. So they can leave it as a 2/2 sort of trade with the Warchief. If that's what they want to do. Yep, you tap it down. Be my guest. Gaea's Cradle, you say? Let's play out the Cradle here. I'm going to trade this one off, are they? So we take out their graveyard. This shrinks us down to a 1/1. Then they crack their Windswept Heath to go to 5. And then I'll Naturalize as Oath of Druids. Probably not going to get much green mana out of this Gaea's Cradle moving forwards, but we don't have a lot of damage that we need to deal our opponent to get this game won. They don't have the life to pay on the Sylvan Library. Not that they necessarily would if they had. Wasteland, goodbye Gaea's Cradle. But if they don't commit anything to the board, this is a 2-turn clock. So we've still got some agency to... Well, we haven't really got any agency. We've still got the ability to win this game. But it's not really in our hands at this point. We're just going to keep turning our guys sideways. A little cheeky Tormod's Crypt to surprise our opponent with later, perhaps. Our opponent's at 1. Swords to Plowshares. That's a good one. We brought out our Mogg Fanatics. I think we did, didn't we? We did. Just because they're good in this situation doesn't mean we actually want them, though. Siege Gang Commander. Okay. Is our opponent going to get away with this one on 1 life? Possibly. Once again, deck, I am wishing you had more mana in you. Right, Brushland. That at least is not a Rishadan port. I think if they play another port, we almost certainly can't win this one. Can we draw a Lackey here? We can draw a Lackey. Lethal damage. Can the Lackey deal it? Our opponent can't fetch to mess with his library, so they're just looking at the same 3 cards plus... Well, they're looking at the same 2 cards plus 1 as the previous turn. So it's not really getting them the value. Okay, they had to plow. Unfortunate for us. Phyrexian Furnace, you got it. Are you just going to cycle this off right away? Hold it for a squeeze if we're doing that sort of thing. I don't know. Right, let's have our mountain. And now we have a Wooded Foothills. I guess we play it out. Are we going to be actually playing a Squee as an attacker? It could happen. Second port. Ugh. Not a fan of that one. If they're exiling all the cards from our graveyard, though, eventually they'll hit this other land, and then the Tormod's Crypt will be a removal spell for Terravor. Yep. Goodbye, mountain. Goodbye, other mountain. No tapping you today. Another Tormod's Crypt. Okay, so we have double crypt lines. I think I will play out 1 crypt now. Then we pass my kingdom for a single Mogg Fanatic that we don't even have in our deck. Right, so they're using this to exile our Piledriver. You got it. So we can remove a Terravor. Mishra's Factory. That makes our life a lot more difficult. Cursed Totem. Sure. And then get double ported. A Warchief. Not the one. So now our opponent's going to start cracking in with this factory. And they have a win condition and we do not. And also trying to win through this double porting is going to be really tough. Well, that Winter's Grasp is a bit of a kick in the teeth, isn't it? No attacks though. They're just content to port us down and hold up presumably a Swords to Plowshares. Let's see if they leave up their plains. They didn't leave up their plains. I don't think they have a Swords to Plowshares then. Alright, we found another mountain. If we get a forest here and play survival, then our green mana can go and get us birds and stuff. 1 card in our opponent's hand. Alright, I'm going to go for this. I wonder why they didn't port us. Let's get the survival in. This just allows us to keep getting 1-drop creatures. And if we get 2 1-drop creatures that can attack, then we'll be okay. Sphere of Resistance. That is a banger. I should tap down our red sources, I think, still. Our opponent agrees. A Birds of Paradise. This doesn't tap for mana because of the Cursed Totem. Don't think we want that. We just want to pull a bunch of stuff out of our deck. It's going to be pretty hard to do any sort of Gilded Drake type stuff here. Activating the factory. Attacking with the factory. You got it. Let's turn this Squee into a Goblin Lackey here. It's a 1-drop creature. Now, we might be a little bit of a ways off of this. This could be a very long game. Our clocks are pretty close, though. So it's not like one of us is just hogging the clock. Lots of stuff going on here. Is there a way that we can make this Birds of Paradise do damage in our deck? I don't think there is. An Anger. I guess if we play out the birds here, it's either we play out the birds or we try and get more stuff into our yard. Sorry, out of our deck, so we can then continue on. I guess we can't play the birds because of the sphere anyway, right? Just need to keep drawing lands. I'll go away, Anger. Now they have to worry about hasty guys. Sarbo's Web might be a consideration in our deck, since we're not running any of those sorts of stuff. And we're just... Treetop Village, that's not great for us. Right, here comes the Treetop, rumbling away. Cycle out this Squee, go and get Lackey. We just need to draw lands. Sure, I'll take that Squee. We drew a land. We can play out a Lackey now. Our opponent has Swords to Plowshares mana up. We get the 1 damage in because of the anger. We're just getting plowed. Yeah, I thought we might be getting plowed there. However, they need to hold back one of their guys now because we have enough mana to break out of the port lock. Oath of Druids. You got it. I'm going to play out this Tormod's Crypt, please. So when the Terror does come along, we can kill it because we can hit both graveyards. A third Rishdan Port has entered the chat. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Okay, Mistress Factory. Here you come to wreck our day. Not attacking. Interesting choice. Maybe they're just trying to see if we would do anything. Right, mountain go bye-bye. They should just tap down all 3 of our mountains here. I don't believe our opponent has a removal spell in hand, which is why they went to activate their factory and decided they shouldn't do that. I think we're just going to draw here. Tranquil Domain. Well, that is a curious one, isn't it? I think we're going to get rid of our 5-drop here. I guess we can just get rid of the Squee. So we can blow up the Sylvan Library and the Oath of Druids in one fell swoop. That's pretty good. I kind of want to blow up their artifacts though. Activating the village. In they come. We've still got quite a lot of life to work with. The Birds of Paradise isn't doing anything here. So I think we're going to change that for another creature here. Because if we Tranquil Domain to blow these 2 up, we also blow up our survival. I guess we just get another Lackey here by Mountain. I'll tap this one. Don't want to Tranquil Domain. Yep, so then they're going to go to our draw step and then tap us down again. Well, they didn't tap us down. Interesting, if true. Am I willing to get rid of these Lackey, to get rid of this survival? We are churning through our deck quite a lot. Alright, I'm gonna go for it here. Oh no, wait, we can't because it costs more, right? If we attack with a Lackey, our opponent activates the factory and blocks. Okay, I think we're just going to clean up. Ray of Revelation. Guess we get rid of this 5-drop. And then what do we want here? More 2-drops. And we'll clean up and discard this Squee. And this Ringleader. Ringleader has innate haste, which is interesting. Because we lose our haste if we have to Tormod's Crypt ourselves. So now the Tranquil Domain looks even freer. Our opponent's been on 1 for so long. Another manland is definitely a problem for us. Activating the treetop. Just pop this Tranquil Domain now. Take out the library and the Oath of Druids. They can tap my stuff down. Like, they're probably going to wait till we go to our draw step and then tap the other stuff down. That's fine. Can we draw a land here? We can draw a land. It is wastelandable, but I will be playing it out. I don't know if our opponent's been sandbagging wasteland this whole time. I think the raw mana count is useful for them. They're probably not sandbagging it. And here comes a treetop. Just 1 coming in. They're going to tap down 3 of our lands. So we can deploy a 1-drop creature this turn. And making us take a point of pain to make our creature. Our opponent does have lethal damage next turn, which is somewhat awkward. City of Brass. Yeah, I think we just lose to the Sphere Resistance here. I wonder if they do attack with all of their guys next turn. They should do. But they might not, so we're going to play to that. I think our opponent will. They're pretty competent at playing Magic the Gathering. I don't think they're going to make that mistake when they just have lethal on board and can force us to chump block this turn. Although, it does take them off port. So maybe they don't do that. If they hit us for enough here, they can take us off of Karplusan Forest as a red source. The reason I didn't play out the City of Brass is because the Rishdan Port makes it way easier for them to kill us. Because then we'll be on 6 life effectively. And then our opponent just has to attack us with both villages and then can tap us down. We just don't have any route there. No attacks. That is a surprise. Right, porting us down. And again, I would assume. They can activate 2 manlands here. Let's get Piledriver in. I can attack with both. We lose the Lackey, but they lose the thing. Do I want to trade 1 for 1 with their things? I don't think so. Because every turn that we have guys that are lethal, our opponent has to keep more resources back. And then next turn, we can deploy the Lackey and the Piledriver and try and go for lethal. So we'll see what our opponent does. They might just turn all their guys sideways here and kill us, but they didn't do that last turn. A Mox Diamond. Okay. Discarding a fetch land that they can't use. Makes sense. No attacks from our opponent. They've got 3 man lands, 2 cards in hand. Right, they're going to tap us down a bit here. My mountain is just going to be mountain. Or they want to try and take us off of the forest. Alright, they're scooping because they can't tap us down enough. So we can actually deploy some threats. Oof. That was a long one. I don't think we want the Mogg Fanatic, even though our opponent was sat at 1 life for a million years there. Maybe we do want the Tinkerer more than I thought. Maybe I'll have that over. I don't really want it over Birds though. Birds is really good here. Until they get the thing down that shuts us down. Maybe it's a Siege Gang. It's not great in this matchup. Like, it's fine. You know, it's still pretty good, but not the be all and end all you would like it to be. Bird into Survival. I'll take that. The Birds line plays pretty horribly into the Oath of Druids though. But our deck, not great against Oath of Druids. So we just kind of have to suck it up. They didn't play a turn 1 Oath. Another land. Well, if our opponent's trying to blow up all of our lands, I don't mind having more lands. So next turn we can play Survival and then start cranking with the birds, getting the Squee. Right, they fetched the land. Now it's just their turn. A factory. A Terravore. It's a 2-2. A Goblin Ringleader. Let's get this Survival of the Fittest on the go. Maybe we can surprise our opponent and get the Gilded Drake. Do we even need to do that right now? Probably not. It's only a 2-2. If we get the Gilded Drake here, our opponent just immediately kills our Birds of Paradise. Get rid of this bird. Go and get ourselves a Squee. We've got time when this is only a 2-2. When it gets scarier, we can do something about it. Turn this Squee into something better. Let's have a Tinkerer. So the Tinkerer can take out the Mox and the factory quite nicely. Alright, we'll take 2 from the Terravore. Our opponent's only got 2 cards left in hand. Okay, this is pretty nice. We go red, red, green. Play a Warchief. Play a Cradle. Discard the Squee. What do I want here? We still need the red for this Birds of Paradise. So we just get another Birds of Paradise. And then we could discard this if we wanted to. I don't think we need to do that. We just go to attacks here with this Warchief. If they activate the factory, we blow it up with the Tinkerer. Goodbye, guys, Cradle. And then next turn we just go and get the... Oh, and a Knight and Tutor. It's going to be the Seal of Cleansing, isn't it? If I can blow up our Survival. But in response, we go and get the Gilded Drake. We get an Oath here? It's just a Seal. Sure. Alright, let's get the Gilded Drake. Leave him back. Their guy here. Yes, I'll get the Squee back. If we put this in now, we take this. They have a 3-3. That's kind of awkward, isn't it? Can I have your Terravore, please? 1, 2, 3. Get a Morph. And then we pass. Kind of want a Survival again. And then we can just start doing all the stuff. Gilded Drake surprisingly good at blocking. Oh, our opponent's had enough. Gilded Drake too strong. Alright. So, in this second league, we went 4-1. In the first league, we went 3-2. So that is a 7-3 record over 10 rounds. So I hope you enjoyed seeing a lot of this deck in action. I think we got better and better at playing it as we went on. Now we can talk about the deck and some conclusions. So I quite like what this deck is doing. In one of the rounds you didn't see, we had Survival of the Fittest just completely solo our opponent, and it wasn't even close. And that is going to happen quite often because this card is incredibly strong. Now, about the rest of this deck, I have a few things that bother me a little bit. 22 lands when 4 of them aren't starting mana sources in Gaea's Cradle is a worry to me. I think if you're playing the 4 Cradle, you probably need to go up to 24 lands, and those other lands probably need to be able to tap for green. I don't know if we actually need Birds of Paradise. If we just have more green sources in our deck, then we can go and play more of like the Mogg Fanatic, which really helps with the early game. Because what you're doing with this deck is you're making your late game really strong by running Survival. You just need to make sure you get there. More Mogg Fanatics help with that because you can ping down Jackal Pups, Hermit Druids, whatever you need to in the early turns to get you where you need to go, like opposing lackeys, that sort of thing. So I would be interested in getting rid of these Birds of Paradise and going up 2 lands. I also don't know if you need the Naturalize in the main deck. Now, sure, you can kind of get a bit stung by your opponent having some stuff you need to blow up, but I don't think we want it in the main because we can't tutor for it. We've already got a tutor way of blowing up enchantments and artifacts, obviously the Tinkerer as well. I think I would actually just cut the Naturalizes. Like, we've seen mono red goblins doing better than red green goblins, so maybe Naturalizes are a thing you just put in your sideboard for your sideboard games and just have more spells that actually do something. Like, at least this has power and toughness. Same with the Tinkerer. This doesn't. This can just be completely dead. Now, it is a very powerful card. I understand wanting to have it, but I don't know if that's where our game plan needs to be in game 1. So we lose... So we've got 4 slots to play with if we cut the 2 Naturalizes. What else do I not particularly like in this list? I'm not sold on the Skirk Prospector here. I think we can probably cut this as well, and that gives us a 5th slot to play with. I would like a couple more Mogg Fanatic, and then that gives us 3 more slots. I want this Sharpshooter in the main deck. One of the rounds... No. Was it one of the rounds you didn't see? I played against Elves. I did have a practice game with this deck as well, or maybe 2 practice games. And this is just so good against Elf matchup. And it's just good against loads of opposing things and completely blows people out. I think I would want some of this. I would also like to make my deck better with Ringleaders. We're only running 2 Ringleaders, and they're not even hitting as often as I would like. So if our 5 slots that we've got to work with here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, so we've got 5 slots to work with. It gets us 2 Fanatics, 2 Ringleaders, and 1 Sharpshooter. And then obviously we're going up on the mana that way. That would probably be where I'd like to start here. In terms of the land you're running, it's probably just 2 more City of Brass. Now, City of Brass isn't the best to keep funneling into survival, so there is that to consider. I don't think you want to play the come into play tapped red-green land, and I don't think you want to play the Mossfire Valley, whatever it's called. So you're kind of just on the City of Brass there, and you just have to suck it up. I think, even though the Gilded Drake did come in clutch a little bit, I'm not sure if we need the Gilded Drake here. I think we could try something else in this slot, because if we're cutting the Birds of Paradise, we're only going to have 4 sources that cast it, and I think that we just need to have spells that we can cast most of the time. And yes, there are situations where the Gilded Drake just immediately wins you the game, but maybe we don't need to play into those scenarios that much, and if we have a different tool that can do some different work. I also think having a second Sharpshooter in the sideboard is still pretty good if you put one in the main, because this card is just so strong. But if you're cutting the Naturalize, you probably need to have like space for the Naturalizers in the sideboard. So maybe we're just cutting like Gilded Drake and the Sharpshooter for the 2 Naturalizers. They go in there, and then we make the main deck changes. This deck did impress me more than I thought it would. When I started playing this, which seems like a long time ago now, it was a little bit of a struggle, but we got the hang of it a little bit as it went on. It's quite different to playing regular Goblins, but I think maybe we need to up some of the bits that make it feel a bit more like regular Goblins with this like survival pivot, rather than trying to be this weird hybrid where we sometimes get like a Birds of Paradise that doesn't really go towards our strategy. So I think just streamlining the whole thing. Quite often, you know, you're just putting 1 mana into your Survival of the Fittest every turn, and that's fine while you're doing other Goblin stuff. You don't need to be doing these massive chains, but sometimes you just get a Cradle and you go, okay, now all of my stuff has haste and I have like a million billion guys and you're going to die. So I think that's probably where I would want to take this one. Yeah, seems good. I think it's got a lot more play to it because you have so many tutoring options. Goblin Goon, definitely great. A lot more Goblin decks have started adopting this. Just having a 6 is good. Oh, I just remembered the other card I want. I want a Goblin King in the 75. Maybe we trim 1 Red Elemental Blast for a Goblin King, because Goblin King is another way of beating your Engineered Plagues and stuff like that. So I think that's something you probably want in here too. All right. I am finally done with this one. It may have taken twice as long as I expected, but that's what happens when you don't hit record. I think I now have to do another video, so bear with me. I'm going to be very exhausted by the end of today. But I hope you enjoyed a bit of an extended league today with additional rounds that you weren't expecting. And surely that's got to be worth a like and a subscribe, the extra toil I've put in today. All right, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget Turbodepths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed Turbodepths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.